So it's 4th down and 8 now as they motion the receiver across, and Webe is going to roll out to his right-hand side. They set up a screen pass, and the Vikings aren't able to get there. A nice pickup on the play from the receiver, Hakeem Lowe. And the Vikings unable to stop the Knights. They got a 4th down conversion on their own opening drive, and now the Shasta Knights will get a 4th down conversion on their own as they will set the ball up from the 26-yard line. And I believe our stream is up and running now, as that was a 37-yard reception at the end of the screenplay, or 13-yard reception, rather, at the end of the receiving play from Lowe there. And I believe our stream is up and running. Thank you for joining us tonight. Max Agres joining alongside Colin Dolvan. And we got a Shasta drive here. They hand it off on the jet sweep as the Vikings almost had the opportunity to make the tackle in the backfield. And after a 5-yard gain on the play, the Vikes finally get there. And that was Jahari Johnson who was the one that on the carry on the play.
Yeah, Max, coverage looked a little sluggish coming out for the Vikings defense, but this Shasta offense is driving for sure.
A 4-yard pickup on the play, and it's 2nd and 6. Once again, pardon the technical difficulties. We're trying to get everything up and running in the second game of the season. The Vikings have a 6-0 lead after driving it all the way down the field on their opening drive, and now Shasta looking to answer here with Webe. Webe, 3-step drop. He rolls out of the pocket. He has a running lane, and he will take it down to the 20-yard line as he tight-ropes that ladder on the near sideline before being pushed out right near the line of scrimmage, and I think they're going to give that ball to him. A 6-yard rush by the sophomore quarterback out of Red Bluff, California, and that'll be another 1st down for this Knights offense.
That was some expert running from the second-year QB there, but and really that's just a player being better. Nothing really the defense could have done there. They had a couple guys in there, but not to be.
So a pistol look here as they bring in an offensive lineman on the left-hand side. That'll be another quick pass to the near-hand side. Caught at the 15-yard line, brought forward and tackled down inside of the 10, and that might be a 10-yard pickup, setting it 1st down and goal possibly on the other side. Let's see. Nope. It was tackled down after a gain of 9 on the play as Hakeem Lowe was the man on the reception. Didn't quite get a number on the tackler, though. So it's 2nd down and 2 after the 8-yard reception on the play, and another pistol look once again. A head up. Nope, it's a quarterback keeper. And, a tough tackle made right up there by Dylan Layout. He came up, chopped the legs of the quarterback, and unfortunately for the Vikings, that will be a 1st down pickup for Webe, and that'll set the Shasta Knights up 1st down and goal.
Yeah, Webe tried to juke him out there, but Layout held his ground. Great tackle.
No, it'll be brought down just short. So with 1 yard to gain now, it'll be 3rd down and it's like 3rd down and inches at this point at the 7-yard line. So another pistol look with a extra offensive lineman, and the play was called dead before the snap. So there is no replay here at the JC level, so we're not going to get any look at that. So I think the officials are just going to come and talk about it real quick. Quick deliberation at the 15-yard line.
Did Mount Shasta call a timeout? No, it doesn't. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I think it's an official's timeout on the field here. And it looks like we're just about ready to go. So 3rd down and inches from the 6-yard line officially with 6:25 remaining here. 1 timeout already used from Shasta College. And they've been running a heavy set with the extra offensive lineman the last couple different plays. Jaden Price will sub out as the Vikings looking to get one of their many sub packages here, possibly a heavy lineup, as the Vikings really putting an emphasis on trying to stop the run today. 2-back pistol.
Looks like
and
man
the running
coverage.
back will be Cortinas. Man coverage across the board, like you said, Colin. And a handoff to the left-hand side, a missed tackle in the backfield, and surfing through multiple different Vikings defenders, getting the 1st down. And it's a pickup of 5 yards, brought down at the 3-yard line. And that's Dylan Leo making the tackle again for the Vikes. And it'll be 1st down and goal for the Shasta College Knights.
That's a name you're starting to hear a lot. About 4th or 5th time we've mentioned his name so far. Leo is everywhere right now.
Yeah, you like to see him being able to come up and fill the gaps, but you also wonder who the linebacker or linemen who are missing these tackles are.
Yeah, that's a good point, Max.
Another pistol look once again. Webe handing off, runs in the back of his fullback as he continues to churn forward as Cortinas runs right to the goal line. It'll be brought down at the 1-yard line. Tanner Smiley, the safety, coming up to the right at the line is the goal line to make the tackle here. The running game being stopped is something that we harped on so heavily before this game. The Vikings need to do what they did pretty well against in the last game against Butte. Bend but don't break here, as they were put in a very tough position right inches from the goal line. Second down and goal here. Handoff left side, runs into a guard, and able to still break his way into the end zone. A 1-yard rushing touchdown by Eli Cortinez, and that'll be 6 points on the board for the Shasta College Knights. 11 plays, 63 yards as they march down the field on their opening drive, able to cash it into the end zone. And they're going to send out their PAT unit now. The Vikings, remember, in that first opening drive touchdown, they missed the PAT after a bobbled snap from Gavin Cribb.
One thing I wanted to highlight on that drive, Max, was their DVC's inability to just cover, and they didn't look good in coverage.
So the snap is off, the hold is down, the kick is up, and Persiado is able to knock it in. 7 for 7 on extra points so far this season. And we got our second lead of the game as the Shasta College Knights take a 7-6 lead over the Vikings of DVC here in Week 3 action of 3C2A football. We're going to take a quick timeout back on the other side of the break here on DVC Vikings Live. .15 counting down in this fourth quarter of action as the sun starts to set here on Vikings Stadium, and the Vikings will get the ball for the second time this evening as Cole Crossan comes to kick it off for the second time. Davis and Hertz back deep for the Vikings to return it, and his heels line up at the 26-yard line. Crossan looking to boot this one away. Hand up to the sky, jotting forward, swings the right leg, and this will be an end-over-end kick. Fielded down by Davis at the 5. Davis taking it straight ahead over the 25-yard line, breaks 3 tacklers before finding a whole slurry of Shasta tacklers as he brings it down to the 34-yard line. 29-yard return on the play after fielding it down at the 5-yard line, and the Vikings will get their second possession of the game from the 34-yard line on their side of the field.
As Johnson leads this team back out, one thing you and I both know, that offensive line just has to stay sturdy, because if they do, this defense is going to have a tough time stopping them. Yeah,
they let up 1 sack as Johnson was scrambling inside the pocket. So this is one of the things where, yes, it is a sack on paper, but more than anything, it was Johnson just trying to buy time and then ended up being tackled just 1 yard behind the play. And the Vikings will come out with Johnson once again. He'll motion his tight end Peichel to the other side of the line. It'll be a handoff over to the left side. Trying to stretch it, find the edge, and tackled for a loss of 2 on the play as Joseph Miner gets his first carry of the game, the sophomore out of Vacaville, and the tackle made by Caden Bryant, one of the other names we've been saying a lot tonight for Shasta College. And so, I mean, he's one of those guys that Miner just didn't really have too many opportunities to play last year. 14 rushes for 65 yards and a 23-yard burst. He came in on the second half against Butte, had 4 rushes for 16 yards. So just seeing a little bit of depth shown from this running back group of the Vikings, and just maybe a few different looks trying to get, different players with different skill sets onto the field. Johnson from the far hash mark. He's going to face a second down and 13 from the 31-yard line now. Motioning Miner over to the flats. And that'll be a false start on the Vikings. So insult to injury as they move themselves back an additional 5 yards on the play now. Yeah, this is something we've seen. The Vikings overcame 2 different holding penalties on that opening drive. But when you have a brand new offensive line group, these are things that typically happen.
Right. It's growing pains, nothing more. I'm not too worried about it right now.
So that'll set the Vikings up well behind the chains, and they'll face a second down and 18 with 4:11 counting down, trailing 7-6 here in the opening quarter. Same play, same formation. Johnson facing the pressure. He rolls out the first tackler. No, he's unable to get away. A sack from the defensive line of the Shasta College Knights as Richburg comes up, and I believe that's his second sack of the night, so the Vikings facing a third down in eternity. I wouldn't be surprised if we just see a rush on the play and end up just having a punt. Just get as much yardage as possible, see if you can squeak one through, and then just boot it away with Zane Hall.
Yeah, he came blitzing up the middle there, and that was a real tough play for the Vikings.
So the Vikings will come out from that shotgun spread look. It'll be third down in eternity. Officially a third down and 24 from the 14-yard line, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Miner lowers his head as he gets a gain of 4 or 5 on the play, officially marked down as 4, and that's Angel Jimenez coming up for the tackle, and the Vikings will send their punt unit on the field. A physical play from Joseph Miner, getting that little bit of a highlight, but more than anything, the Vikings just backed themselves far too far behind the chains, and not even Mikel Ely could come up and save them in that situation.
Yeah, and I think that was Javon Edwards, number 25 for Shasta, on trying to make the tackle and just lowered his head and headbutted him and said, "Get out of my way."
So we're going to see what Hall has to offer here. He's looking to average about 40 yards a punt, and this is actually going to be Vaquero. So Vaquero had 2 punts, a 40-yard long, and he'll have an opportunity to boot this one away. A high spiraling punt will bounce down in Vikings territory before taking a Vikings bounce. This one will go an additional 10 yards after the initial bounce and eventually be brought down at the 37-yard line. A 51-yard punt, so that didn't look like it had much under it, but at the end of the day, if you get a bounce like that, you can't complain.
End of the day, like you said, great punt. Great bounce.
So the Vikings aren't able to get much going after a couple different negative plays and a holding penalty, or pardon me, a false start penalty set them far behind the chains. And now let's see what the defense can do as the great offense of Eli Webe comes back on the field. I mean, this is a look that we don't typically see in junior college football. You got a 2-back pistol look, and you got extra offensive linemen. I mean, they're coming out in this shotgun look, but they're playing some physical ball so far. Webe out of the pistol set, line up at the 31-yard line, working right to left. Play action fake and a throw out to the far-hand side. Brought in at the 30, jump cuts, breaks one defender, and it takes a couple different Vikings defenders to bring him down as he gets a gain of 14 on the play before Adrian Mache is able to make the tackle. And that will be set up at the 49-yard line of Shasta after the nice pickup on the play by Jahari Johnson.
Yeah, Mache, great tackle. He came steaming in there. But one thing pre-play, as number 5 here, Marcel Anderson is limping off the field. Yeah, he's down on the field now.
It looks like he was trying to make it to the near sideline, but eventually Coach Corrali is going to give him a talk on the near sideline, as he was one of those guys that the Vikings highlighted so many times going to the year. I mean, it's just he's a prolific talent with some of that physicality, and a lot of that track speed is what's bringing in a lot of those big-time schools. But with the injury on the field, to get checked down on the near sideline, we'll take a quick timeout on the field here as the Vikings trail 7-6 with 2:02 remaining here in the first quarter of play here on DVC Vikings Live. Back on the field here, it looks like just some cramping issues. That's good to see. Marcel Anderson being able to go off on his own power, essentially. But the Vikings will face a first down and 10 from the 50-yard line now as Eli Webe comes out of the pistol from the far hash mark. A handoff, bouncing it out to the near-hand side, breaks one tackler before being upended by Adrian Marche. He cut out the running back after a gain of 4. And that was Eli Cortinez coming up for a gain of, they're going to move the ball a little bit further ahead. That's actually going to be a gain of 5 on the play now.
Also give credit to Marcus Nunez there. He was the one who made the initial contact on the play.
The one thing we learned with Coach Corrali, he wants the first guy to make the tackle. He doesn't want the first guy to come in and slow him down. That's one of the things that the Vikings have struggled with in the early going of this season now, is the 2-back pistol look with Webe leading the charge again. 3-step drop out of the pistol set, and he continues to retreat as the Vikings pressure eventually gets to him. Eyes are still down the field as a veteran play comes and just throws that ball away.
Coverage was much better there. Axe, very, very good. Forced the throwaway.
And it looked like Nathan Kinsey, the freshman at a Foothill High School, came up to get the pressure on the quarterback before forcing a throwaway. So a 3rd down and 5 from the 45-yard line with 1:03 counting down. Working right to left is Shasta College, and Cortinas will line up behind Webe. 3rd down and 5. The Vikings looking like they're coming out man-to-man coverage. Ball set down at the Vikings 45-yard line. And let's see what Webe has to offer. Belt high snap, looks towards the near hand side. He's going to throw a deep route down the near sideline, and that's almost brought in. A ball dropped right between the fingertips of Hakeem Lowe, and the Vikings had number 9 on the coverage, I believe. That was I don't think that was actually number 9. Did you get a number on who was the?
I think that was number 8, Adrian Miche.
Okay, so that was Adrian Miche on the play, and from our vantage point, I don't know if he quite got a finger on the play, but that ball did bounce in front of Hakeem Lowe, so it'll be a 4th down and 5 now. And for the 2nd time this evening, the Knights will go for it. Trips bunched out to the forehand side as Webe comes out of the pistol look with Cortinas. Webe, belt high snap, looks towards the far sideline. He's going to have to go through his progression reads as he scrambles out to the right-hand side, looking to buy some time. The pressure comes late, and the ball's thrown right on the near sideline. The ball was bobbled and dropped. A nice job by Webe, really buying some time. He found Randy Gibson along the near sideline, but the freshman at Sheridan, Oregon wasn't able to bring that ball in, so the Vikings will first force a turnover on downs. It was a 5-play, 21-yard drive for the Knights, but the Vikings able to get off on 4th down.
I highlighted after their first defensive drive, Max. The Vikings, much better coverage late in this drive. Much, much better. And that's what they need to do consistently if they want to win this game.
Take a deep breath, really find yourself, and trust in your ability to do what you've been doing almost all your life, right?
Could not agree more.
Trip to the far hand side of the Vikings, working left to right now with Jerry Johnson at quarterback. Davis is in the backfield as they play action fake, throw it over to Alonzo. As Elijah Alonzo picks up the ball, lowers the shoulder, knocks off a helmet of the man that actually made the tackle. That was Caden Bryant who made the tackle on the play. And Elijah Alonzo only able to get a gain of 2 on the play. And Bryant will have to come off on the field after his helmet comes off. And let's see if the Vikings notice that that the key player for this for the Shasta Knights team comes off on the field, maybe to take a shot at the replacement.
Yeah, we'll see. Johnson definitely has the ability to do so.
3 receivers to the near hand side and a shotgun look for Jerry Johnson now. Shotgun snap, toss over to the near hand side. That's Davis in the backfield. He cuts it up at the hash marks and just one step dropping it down all the way down to the Shasta side of the field. And this one was brought down to the 42-yard line before Gavin Skirick is able to make the tackle on the play.
One thing I want to highlight on that last play, Max, Austin Hertz, number 21 out of Sheldon High, made a great block. It was crucial to that run.
And with that, it will bring us down to the 2nd quarter. So 7-6 game with zeros on the clock as we take it to the 2nd quarter here, and the Vikings are driving here on DVC Vikings Live. So flip the sides of the field here as the Vikings will be driving right to left after the change of quarters. So 15 minutes on the clock here in the 2nd quarter play, and the Vikings coming out once again with Jerry Johnson at quarterback, and in the backfield alongside him will be Sean Davis. Shotgun look for defensive lineman in front as it looks like the Knights will send pressure here. Let's see if Johnson checks it at anything. No, they're just going to run straight into the blitz there as Davis just doing as best as he possibly can to get any positive yardage. A gain of 1 on the play before Gavin Skirick comes up to make the tackle once more.
Yeah, one thing maybe I'm considering there, if I'm the DVC offensive coordinator is switching up the play. You see that pressure come in, stop for a second. If you have enough time on the play clock, give it a quick switch.
I agree, especially with somebody that's a sophomore and that's been in a great system over at CSM and now coming over to another great team in DVC. You'd love to see that. We saw him call some audibles early in the game, but Johnson just runs into the blitz that time around, and the Vikings will face a 2nd down and 9 from the 41-yard line with 14:20 counting down here. Johnson out of the shotgun once more. A spread set. He rolls out to his left-hand side, flips the hips, looks down the field, throws, and it's caught at the 30-yard line. Brings it down to the 20, fighting down the near sideline before being brought down inside of the 15-yard line. That's Brian Pierce Jr. coming up for the catch for the Vikings, and Drake Granberry making the tackle for Shasta. A huge pickup on the play, and the Vikings will set themselves up right inside of the red zone at the 13.
Yeah, Max's zone look there for Shasta. Johnson took his time, waited for those receivers to get out of those zones, found his receiver beautifully. Now they're inside the 20.
And that's a more difficult throw than it comes off to look there, as Johnson had to flip his hips after rolling the opposite direction.
Absolutely, that crossbody is not easy.
Davis is in the backfield as Johnson comes out on the shotgun once again. Pressure comes. He drops it off over to Davis in the backfield. Caught the 15-yard line and ends up getting face masked down inside of the 10-yard line. An official throws the flag late on the play. The ball was brought in for about a 6-yard gain, but this will be half the distance to the goal, and the Vikings will get the 1st down after the face mask tackle.
Absolutely a face mask. It looks like Shasta have a couple players down as well. Number 94 coming off the field now, actually.
Yeah, Jadarius White was the man that made the tackle and ended up getting the face mask. So the ball will be moved down, and it'll be officially marked down at the 3-yard line. So the Vikings, on their 3rd drive of the game, will face a 1st and goal here from the 4.
One thing I saw pre-play there, Max, was there were 2 receivers off to the right. One was uncovered. I thought maybe they'd go over there, but
I think the pressure just came too hard. That was probably the 3rd, 4th, 5th read or something like that along the line. So instead, just the hot route as you saw the pressure come to the face, and Johnson just delivers a strike as Sean Davis has to check back out as Gavin Cribb comes back in for the Vikes. Cribb just one of the most valuable players you could really ask for this Vikings team. He had multiple offers from FCS schools, other big-time schools, and decided to come back, and now the Vikings coming out in a 2-back pistol look. This is the first time we're really seeing this, and a tight end off the right side as well. A hard snap and a handoff over to Cribb as Cribb is stacked up right near the line of scrimmage, only gets 1 on the play as Javon Edwards comes up to make the tackle there. And I like the idea there. You go heavy and you say, hey, try to stop me. Unfortunately for the Vikings, they did get stopped in that situation.
Yeah, and Cribb, he had space off the right side. I thought he was going to keep going and run through, but just kind of found a blocker and thought he had a good route.
So it'll be 3rd down, or it's showing 3rd down on the field, but it's only showing 2nd down here up in on the scoreboard. So let's see if we can get something fixed up there, as I think the officials are going to talk about exactly what we're pondering up here in the booth. So I don't know if the far side chain crew really changed the downs after that face mask penalty. So I think that's where some of the miscommunication is there.
Yeah, that's probably where the issue is. Still reading 3.
Yeah, so the official will
There you
talk,
go.
and yes, exactly right. So chain crew gets it right, and that'll be a 2nd and goal from the 5-yard line here as the Vikings go heavy once again, up back off the left-hand side. Pistol look once again for Johnson as he moves Pike over the right-hand side, and Davis is the man in the backfield. Stretch over the right side, trying to turn the corner, and for the 2nd time this evening, Sean Davis in for the touchdown. No, pardon me, his 1st touchdown got called back, so for the 1st time, Sean Davis hits pay dirt here at Vikings Stadium, and the Vikings are able to storm down the field 7 plays, 55 yards after getting that 4th down stop, and they get into the end zone for the touchdown. Let's see if Cribb is able to get a handle on the snap this time around. The score is 12-7 because of that botched PAT the first time around. Dougie Silva to snap it. Cribb the holder. Hall the kicker. And another bobble snap. This one's still on the ground, and it's eventually gathered in at the 21-yard line by one of the special team players for Shasta. And that was Samuel Carden coming in special teams. And the score will sit at 12-7. So an awkward score, but the Vikings do have a lead here with 12:33 remaining in the 2nd quarter of play.
Yeah, obviously, Max, that miscue on the PAT attempt, but I want to go back to the touchdown. And Davis, like I said the play before, Cribb didn't make the most of the space he had on the outside, but Davis taking advantage of all the space he found, his blockers gave him, going right around and in for the score.
So the Vikings able to capitalize on the turnaround downs and storm down the field. And this Vikings offense is really looking like they might have turned the page. We've seen some opportunities. They've capitalized on them this time around. And the Renegade game is finally coming together to show some pay dirt here. First touchdown of the day was a 16-yard passing touchdown over to Josh Peichel as he came in for his first snap, and the tight end just snuck completely free. Everybody left him wide open as he came down after a touchdown from Sean Davis was called back, and now Davis finally able to get his first touchdown on the play as the Vikings will kick it away with Michael Vaccaro. Vaccaro coming, and a end-over-end kick will be fielded down at the 5-yard line. Taking it to the near hash mark before veering back out to the top of the numbers on the 20-yard line. A spin, and bringing the ball out to just about the 26-yard line as Richard Turner was the return man for Shasta. Anthony Armendariz coming up for the tackle on special teams for the Vikes now. And we get another look at Eli Webe. Webe's had a pretty solid game. He's avoided some of the pressure of the Vikings, really extended some plays, and he's really lived up to his veteran presence here.
Yeah, I think there was a penalty on that last play on DVC. Yep, they're moving it up now.
Ooh.
I'm not sure what it was. It was a false start on the kickoff.
A false start on the kickoff. So instead of kicking off again, they're going to elect to just bring the ball forward an additional 5 yards on the play. So the ball will be set down on the 31-yard line after the 5 yards. And a two-back pistol look with a tight end off the left-hand side, working left to right. Webb, a play-action fake. He's going to loft it over the top and just throw that ball away all the way to the near sideline over to his younger brother, Levi Durrell. So Durrell is the backup quarterback, and Webe's little brother is also the quarterback as well. So a couple different backups got my wires crossed a little bit. But, yeah, just one quarterback tossing it away to the other quarterback, and it'll be 2nd down and 10 from the 31.
I thought maybe there was a hint of grounding there, but receiver in the area.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a heads-up play from the linebackers of DVC, just being able to sniff that ball away, stay with it, and force a throwaway. Bunch out to the far-hand side. Another pass attempt from Webe. Webe rolls out. He runs to his left-hand side, flips down the field, and a second consecutive throwaway here. And this one, I believe he got outside of the pocket on the left-hand side, so they're going to say this ball is not intentional grounding, but a late throw across his body all the way towards the DVC near sideline, and the Vikings pressure is starting to get there, forcing a 3rd down and 10.
Also coverage, Max. They're finally waking up. This defensive unit is there now. They're coming.
3rd down and 10. And a late substitution on the play as Malik Viewins comes in at the linebacker position here. Vikings running a 3 linebacker look, but you always got one playing at the line of scrimmage here. Another 2-back pistol look for Webe here as it gets loud in the stadium. Webe backing up, Webe pointing out, he's looking down the field, fires it away, throws it into double coverage, the ball's batted away, tipped up in the air a couple different times before being knocked down to the ground. Marcel Anderson just doing everything he can to get his hands on that ball, wasn't able to bring it in, but the Vikings force a 3-and-out. It'll be 4th down and 10 from the 31-yard line. Nothing there as the Vikings pressure got there, the coverage was there, and that was just a perfect defensive possession for the Vikes.
Marcel Anderson, yeah, he came out earlier with cramps, but no sign of that there. Great coverage.
For the first time today, we'll see Josny Mendoza coming out to punt the ball. The sophomore, 5'7", 155 out of Corning, California, averaging 37.7 per punt so far as the Vikings get a late substitution here on the field, and Brian Pierce Jr. will be the man to return it deep for the Vikes. The ball will be booted away from the 20-yard line. It'll be a low punt and take a Shasta bounce before going all the way back, and this one will be fielded down at just about the 33-yard line. Only 2.69 seconds on that punt there. So the Vikings score on one end, and they get a 3-and-out on the other end. And it's looking like Uncle Mo, the momentum is coming the way of the Vikes here.
Yeah, like you said, Uncle Mo considered switching sides. He's back with DVC now.
12-7 is the lead for the Vikings here. 2 missed PAT attempts off some botched snaps. That's a little unheard of after the sure hands of Gavin Cribb. He ended up ended up getting 2 receiving touchdowns in the first game for the Vikes in a very similar situation to the right side end zone. And now let's see what other weapons get installed into this game here with 11:55 in the second quarter. A 2-back look here for the Vikings here from the far hash mark. And I believe a timeout will be taken by the Vikes. So I do like this 2-back look. We've seen the Vikings have a lot of success out of that. But with that timeout, we'll take a quick timeout on the field as we're here on DVC Vikings Live. Bringing it back on the field here as the Vikings come out. It'll be first down and 10 after the punt brought down at the 33-yard line, let's call it there. 1:55 counting down in this 12-7 game. The Vikings will come out on 2-back set. They motion Sean Davis over into the flat, and they hand it off over to Crib. No, Jerry Johnson keeps it on the read, and a lateral throw over to Davis out at the 40-yard line. A jump cut out to the 50, and he brings it across into the Shasta side of the field. A great pickup on the play. Caden Bryant made the tackle, but Sean Davis just getting creative there. And the Vikings with a big rip on the play as a flag comes down on the far side of the field, and that might be holding on the Vikes.
I actually think it's going to be, I think Johnson threw it over the line.
I don't think that matters, though, because it was a lateral.
Oh, you're
so
right.
I think the officials are going to talk about it. Johnson's going to definitely plead his case.
For sure.
So we saw a lot of that. If you remember Brock Osweiler with that ASU team back in the day, man, I mean, I'm dating myself at this point, but back in about the 2010s or so at this point, you saw Brock Osweiler do a lot of that, extending plays, throwing laterals, those far extended handoffs, and maybe this is something that the Vikings can find some pay dirt on, as the call will go against the Vikings here, and it'll back them up.
I thought the play idea was right there from Jerry Johnson, just executed it a little poorly.
I mean, I like the idea on the play, and I like the creativity from Dave Garcia playing the calls for the Vikings this season, or calling the plays for the Vikings this season. That'll be a first down and 14 here with 11:31 counting down now. Bunch out to the far-hand side from the near hash mark. It will be Johnson once more. Johnson, a shovel pass over the far side over to Davis, as Davis just surfing through multiple different Knights defenders before a tackle is made by Chase Barnes. And man, the Vikings were dead on the spot immediately, as it would actually be a loss of downs on the initial play there, so it'll be third down now and 15.
Yeah, this DVC blocking unit, inconsistent at best so far, and that's something that has to improve if they want to win this ball game.
Now let's keep an eye out for number 9 for the Vikes, as Mikel Ely has been one of those guys that has been magic on third and fourth down for the Vikings so far this season. Austin Hurts in the game for the Vikes. Elijah Alonso will be the slot receiver on the near-hand side, and then motion Ely across the formation. Oh, and another flag comes down to the field. And let's see what this is on. I believe this might be a false start in the Vikings as it pushes them back even further.
I think that was a delay of game.
A delay of game. So just getting a little too far inside of your own head, not paying attention here. And the play clock is set at 20 now as we count down with 10:26 remaining here. And it's a third down and 19 after the 5-yard penalty on the play. I expect to see a safe zone over the top and the Vikings to possibly just check this one down. Let's see if the Vikings have anything crazy in store here. So Johnson, time to throw, throws it over the top, and it's intercepted at the 40-yard line, bringing it back the other way out to the 35. And that was the linebacker just dropping back in the zone as Gavin Schrick comes up for the interception there. Johnson just shorthanded that ball a little too much as Schrick was in that inside zone area in the middle of the field. And the first turnover of the day comes the way of the Vikings off the arm of Jerry Johnson. That's his second of the season.
Schraik was driving back into a deep zone, and I don't know what Johnson saw there. He thought he had a pocket and thought he could squeeze it in there. Not to be.
To be fair, that was a similar interception to what he threw in the first game against Fresno. So a flaw that he's definitely got to work on. So after the interception, the Shasta Knights will come out on a pistol look, flipping the sides of the field as it's spotted down at the 32. A handoff up the middle, breaking one tackle, a shimmy there, and a fight forward. And that was a carry on the play by Jalen Thomas, the freshman out of Cincinnati, Ohio. A tackle was made by Dylan Leo at the end of the play after a gain of 5. And once again, Vikings need to get that first tackle and not have to resort to tackling by committee. You love to see all 11 heads getting to the ball, but you love to see a tackle made before that.
Absolutely.
Pistol spread once more on 2nd down and 5. The Vikings send a blitz here, and it's a quarterback keeper over to the right-hand side. A throw at the last possible second down to the 20-yard line, and a touchdown to Jahari Johnson as he runs down the field. A flag is dropped down at the 29-yard line. If this does stand, it will be a 27-yard reception as the ball passed from Webe to Johnson, but it looks like this one will likely come back, maybe stepping across the line of scrimmage for Webe or possibly a hold.
It looks like they're talking about the same thing we just saw on DVC. Here's the call.
So that's exactly it. Crossing the line of scrimmage before passing the ball. The first one we thought was a lateral, but Webe has to back up 5 yards, and that will be a loss of downs there. And, man, that is a tough call. So the rule is that you have to be fully across the line of scrimmage, so any part of your body can be behind the line of scrimmage to pass that ball, but it looked like Webe just surfed a little too far forward before chucking that one away. So the touchdown will be called back, and it'll be 3rd down, and I believe the ball will be marked down right at the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down and 10 after the play.
I think if we had replay, Max, neither of those would have stood. Those illegal forward passes would have resulted in different plays.
But you can only call what there is there.
So true, so true.
And so it'll be 3rd and 10 here on the field after the illegal pass.
The safeties are brought up in here. Could see pressure.
Pistol spread for Webe here as he motions Jahari Johnson across the formation. A 3-step drop, and the ball's batted down. A great job just getting his hands up in the air. That's Isaiah Nobriga, the linebacker, swatting that ball down after rushing off the edge. It'll be a 4th down and long, and it looks like the offense will stay on the field.
Nobriga, great hands off the edge there. Great pass deflection.
Yeah, the Vikings run a 4-man front, but there's 3 defensive linemen, and then you have that edge rusher. And that was exactly who was able to get there, knocking that ball into the dirt. 4th down and 10. The Vikings stopped the Knights last time around, and it'll be a shotgun look for Webe. 2 receivers out to the near-hand side from the near hash mark. Webe calling for the ball. 4th down and 10. A sprint out the left-hand side. Pressure comes as the ball's batted away at the last possible second and brought in, but it was brought out of bounds. So the ball was thrown too high on the field, and Anthony Henry able to knock the man out of bounds, just drifting with his body, getting that well-positioned ball, or well-positioned coverage, I should say, and the Vikings, for the 2nd time this evening, force a turnover on downs.
You see they did it again. This pass coverage is looking good now. They stumbled early, but they finally look like they found their own here deep in the 2nd quarter. Or, excuse me, midway through the 2nd quarter, Max.
8:59 remaining here as the Vikings offense takes the field. So an interception on one side, and it looks like Jerry Johnson's going to get the ball exactly where he threw the interception. Yeah. So Johnson looking to come back after that last INT, and he takes a 3-step drop, throws it to the near sideline, and that ball was just thrown away. Mikael Ely was in some tough coverage there alongside Jalen Watson, and it'll be 2nd down and 10 after that.
I wonder if Ely knew that ball was coming to him. He never turned around.
I think that was just a throwaway ball. Everything was covered across the top. Great defense and great coverage from Shasta.
Very possible, indeed.
And now Johnson facing a 2nd down and 10 from the Vikings 32-yard line, working right to left. Trips out to the forehand side out of the shotgun look is Johnson.
This looks like man from the defense. That linebacker could be coming up. Here he
Chest
comes.
side snap. Johnson, quick throw, and that ball just stuck in his hands a little too far as he just threw that ball into the ground as he was looking for Brian Pierce Jr., or Elijah Alonzo, I should say. And so the Vikings did get the turnover on downs, but now they're quickly facing a 3rd down and 10 from the 32.
Offensive line, we've said it before, Max. I'm going to say it again. Got to be better there.
Yeah, this young unit just trying to find their identity. And Johnson just doing his best out there. 8:53 as the play clock stops with the incomplete pass. And the Vikings in the pistol spread from the near hash mark. Chest high snap. Johnson throws it down the field, and it's brought in at the 32-yard line. High stepping past the defender and brings it in for a touchdown. Damani Burrell, the sophomore out of San Lorenzo, comes up, and the Vikings get an explosive play for the touchdown. 4 plays, 66 yards, and all 66 yards came on that reception on the play as well. The Vikings put 18 on the board throughout the first quarter and some change here as they lead 18-7 with 8:44 remaining.
That's exactly what DVC needed, Max. After the turnover, they get the ball back, about same position. Beat his man off the line, had to step the whole way. Great throw. That is more like it from Johnson.
And I like Johnson just really allowing themselves to get the man open. If Johnson threw that ball a little early, he would have had to choose the perfect spot on the field, but instead ended up getting up that spot and getting the touchdown. So the Vikings will go for it here on the 2-point conversion, and a quick throw that goes straight through the hands of the intended receiver. That's Brian Pierce Jr., who was the intended target. But the Vikings, once again, unable to get the extra point on the board. So 18-7 will be our score here with 8:44 remaining in the second quarter of play. And we'll take a timeout as the teams switch the sides of the field, sending out the kicking unit once again here on DVC Vikings Live. Quickly back here on this side of the field as we do not have any immediate timeouts here in the JC circuit, so all play, no ads. So the kicking tee fell out of the hands of Michael Vaccaro as they were breaking the huddle here. And so Turner will be back deep alongside, Turner will be the man deep alongside Thomas on the play, and Vaccaro will be ready to boot it away. Vaccaro raises his right hand as he jots forward with his sleeved left leg, and he will kick it end over, and this one be fielded down at the 1-yard line. Taken up between the hash marks now, trying to cut, breaks one defender down before bringing it out to just about, let's call it the 18-yard line. That was Malik Viewins coming up to make the tackle on the play, and that was a 17-yard return on the play. And something that I'm surprised that we're not seeing so far in this game is just being able to fair catch that ball at any point there and bring it out to the 25. We're seeing all these kickoff returners take the ball out and bring it forward, and honestly, might not necessarily be the best option there.
Right. A lot of them, you think maybe they're going to step out, let it bounce in the end zone, bring it out to the 25 like you said and start, but no, we haven't seen any of that today so far.
I mean, at this point, though, you can call a fair catch for any point, so
yeah,
possibly might see some of that later on in the game after some halftime adjustments as the ball is handed off over to the left-hand side. Brought forward for a gain of 4 in the play. That was Jason Abbey coming up for the carry, and the tackle made by Jordan Boog Davis from his defensive tackle position. So it'll be a 2nd down and 6 from the 23-yard line with 8:15 counting down in the second quarter. Play 18-7 is our score here.
Those DBs are up on the line, Max. I think this is man. Oh, it won't matter.
And a handoff once more, and that will be Abbey on the carry as he bullies his way forward after the initial contact. Just got a couple different yards after on that yak. And it'll be a 3rd down and just about 1 now.
This defense could be huge stop if they get it. Big momentum shifter.
Oh, and it will be a 1st down instead. So it looked like they were going to keep the chains there, but just got enough yardage there as the ball will be spotted down at the 28.
Well, when it's 3rd down on this series, then that momentum will shift back over.
Tied off the left-hand side as Webe comes out in the pistol set. The Vikings crowding the line. Webe looking to pass it across the middle, and he finds his receiver. That's Johnson, as Johnson catches it just about at the 31-yard line and brings it forward for a gain of 12 on the play before Nico Bowler is able to make the tackle.
Marcel Anderson was up there again, and we've seen a lot of him today.
That was Marcel Anderson, not Nico Bowler. Sorry.
It was no, you're good, Max. It was both of them.
Okay.
Both of them brought him down.
So get 0.5 on each side And Webe leading this offense once more from the 41-yard line. Trips out to the near-hand side out of the pistol look. Tighten off the left side. A handoff. Bouncing it over the right. And that is some swarm tackling there for the Vikes there. The handoff went over to Jason Abbey. And then leading the charge was Cameron Moore. Cameron Moore is one of those guys that the Vikings really love to see. He graduated high school just about 4 or 5 years ago, got caught up in life, and now he's back on the gridiron, balling out. We saw a couple different deflections in the first game against Fresno City College, and he leads the charge to make the tackle on the play, forcing a 2nd down and 9 now from the 42. Defense chant from the home crowd team. And the Vikings crowding the line of scrimmage once more. Webe throws it out forehand side. That's brought in for only a gain of 1 on the play. Pete Pennington made the catch on the play. That's the first reception from the touchdown leading tight end. And Nico Bowler tackling from his linebacker spot.
Bowler, great tackle. He came shooting up the gap like Fred Warner there.
3rd down and 7 from the 44. 6:04 counting down as the Vikings lead this one 18-7. Motions Johnson across the formation, rolling out to his right-hand side. Eyes are down the field. He's going to run for it as Webe finds the angle out to the 50-yard line, reaches the ball out, and I think that might be the difference of the 1st down. He crosses midfield, and the near side official will spot him down just half a yard short here. So this is an interesting position to be in now. It's 4th down and 1 from just across midfield. It would be 4th down in inches, and let's see what Webe and this crew decide to do here.
I don't know, Max. I'm not sure if he got that one. They might have to bring the chains out.
So we will get our first chain of the day, or our first spot of the day from our chain crew coming out, possibly. But the ball will be marked down at just about the 49.5-yard line. Let's see. It looks like they are bringing in number 90, who's come in. That's Nick Owens, the tight end. He's been playing a lot of that fullback position. And the chains will come out. So the ball is spotted down right, split between the 0 of the 50-yard line, and that'll be, I mean, man, this is a close one.
You and I have a great angle up here, Max, for it. It looks like they did get it.
I think they did get it. Just the smarts of Webe being able to reach the ball at the end of the play.
The coverage held up on that last play
yeah,
as well.
by half a ball.
Yeah.
I know, by full ball, actually.
Ball.
So a 1st down gain, and just a heads-up play from the sophomore quarterback out of Red Bluff, California.
Indeed, that was more on Webe there. I think because the coverage was awesome downfield. They had a guy streaking on the other side, but by that point it was way too far, and then that was not going to happen. So just really, really smart from Webe there to get it up past the 1st down marker and give his team 4 more downs.
Yeah, and he knew exactly where the sticks were. That's why he reached it out the last possible second there. So from the Viking side of the field, Webe and company will come out facing a 1st down and 10 from the 49. They will keep that heavy set there as they bring in Owens to play fullback essentially in this 2-back pistol look. I believe that's Cortina's in the backfield alongside Webe here. 2 receivers out to the far-hand side.
DVC, they have 5 on the line. They do send all of them.
And a handoff. That's Abbey on the carry, rather. And Abbey just lowers his shoulder as he bumbles his way forward inside of the 45. He'll be spotted down at the 43-yard line before Chase Robinson able to make the tackle on the play for the Vikes. 5:20 counting down here. The Vikings 3 scores in this first half of play so far, holding Shasta to only 1. But unfortunately, it's an 18-7 game here for the Vikes as they have not been able to convert an extra point so far today. Up back off the left-hand side, they'll run the trap over to the middle. Bouncing out to the far-hand side is Jason Abbey as Abbey brings it forward after being tackled down by Nico Bowler. Only a gain of 2 on the play. But when it's 2nd down and 4, you get a gain of 2. You set yourself up in a good position here and possibly 2 down territory once more. So the Vikings need to get a stop on the play. And if it is another rushing play, possibly a tackle for loss there as we get inside of 5 minutes of play with 4:40 remaining here.
That's a name you said on a lot of times on the last few plays, Max.
Yeah, Nico Bowler.
Nico Bowler, him and Marcel Anderson seeming to form a dynamic duo here. It's wonderful to watch.
Vikings stacking the box here as it's a heavy pistol look once again for Webe.
Here
Webe
comes
taking
Bowler
a
off the
three-step
edge.
drop, throws it short across the middle of the field, and that's brought in by Jahari Johnson. A flag comes in at the 50-yard line as Adrian Mache ends up making the tackle on the play. That will be a first down if it stands, but I believe it will be a hold on the offensive line of Shasta, and the ball will be backed up 10 yards back into the Shasta side of the field. So it will be a holding call as the Vikings pressure. We talked about them sending so many different bodies up front. And that offensive line just wasn't able to hold out, so they had to hold. 4:16 in the clock. Vikings broke the goose egg first as they got a 16-yard passing touchdown over to Peichel. And they got 2 more scores in the second quarter of play. Shasta's first points came in their opening drive, and that leads us to our 18-7 score.
Here comes that stop I was talking about earlier, Max.
Juan Chavez is the fullback here as Webe in the shotgun snap.
Oh, that's pressure.
Throwing over the top. It's one-on-one coverage, and it's brought in at the 20-yard line. Maybe a push-up by Jahari Johnson or maybe a holding call on the Vikings, but there's a flag on the field, but the ball was brought down at the 14-yard line as that was just a beautiful toss-up from Webe over to Johnson. And now let's see what the officials will say after Marche pushes the man out of bounds. I believe this will likely go against the Vikings on a hold or a pass interference.
I thought I saw a little shove there. This could be OPI.
I'm just looking at the body language of everybody, and it will be holding on the Vikings there as Marche just got burnt on the play and ends up giving up a big play. So on 3rd down and long, the Knights able to get some pay dirt here, and the ball will be brought down inside of the red zone. So with 3:48 counting down, the Knights are in scoring position here. Target field goal range is the 26-yard line, so they are well within their kicking range. The Vikings need a bend but not break in this situation here. Up back off the right-hand side as Webe looks to his wrist strap as he looks for the play. Cortines is in the backfield as they motion both the tight ends over to the left-hand side here. Vikings motion with the defense. A blitz comes off the edge, and it's a handoff over to the left-hand side. That's Cortines, who's stacked up right at the line. The first man there was Malik Viewins to make the tackle right at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 10 from the 17.
That was read well by the Vikes defense. Again, like you said, another player, I'm not sure who, but Marcel Anderson, I saw in there again. Someone we highlighted earlier. Yeah,
Viewins got there on the tackle. Anderson was definitely in the vicinity as well. And now the clock will count down here with 3:20. Up back off the left-hand side will be Juan Chavez in this 2-back pistol look once more.
Those DBs are up.
Webe from the far hash mark. Pressured, and he throws that ball away at the last possible moment. Just a great job by Nico Bowler, bringing all the pressure possible off the edge, and 2 different players onto the ground. It looked like the right tackle, Shiloh Nicholson, was all the way back on that side of the play alongside his quarterback, and it'll be 3rd down and 10 now from the 16 with 3:07 remaining. The Vikings have 2 timeouts. Shasta has 2 timeouts, and the Vikings looking to possibly get off the field on defense and send out their PAT blocking unit or their kick blocking unit if they can get off the field here.
That was great pressure by Bowler again, and he's been everywhere so far.
Pistol spread for Webe. Right behind him on the left-hand side is Cortines. Webe, plenty of time to throw here as he rolls out to his right-hand side. The Vikings sending the pressure, not allowing him to run. A throw into the back of the end zone. The ball eventually just drifts out to the near-hand side of the Vikings sideline. The Vikings will hold there. That's Adrian Marche coming up to play the coverage there. And now the field goal unit will come out. We saw a successful PA tent from Preciado. And now the Vikings will see if they bent and can possibly stop this kick here. So the ball is 16, and let's see. So I believe that's a 33-yard field goal attempt on the play here. Oh, and the Vikings jump offsides. This kick is still live if they want to take it as it splits the uprights. I don't think they called the play dead. So if they elect to take this this play here, as Marcel Anderson just got a little too jumpy and jumped off sides. We'll see what they call it. The officials underneath the uprights ended up putting their hands up, but they might have called the play dead beforehand. Officials are working this one out. And is there any situation where you possibly go for it now that you got the additional 5 yards, or you're always kicking in this situation? I think you're kicking it, but I mean, you never know.
I'm going with the kick still here. You have a chance to cut it to a one-score game. I'm not passing that opportunity up.
Yeah, that's a great call right there. So Levi Durrell is going to be the holder on the play. Long snapper is Nioa Irish, and the kicker, Preciado. So the kick is off, it's up, and it's no good. It went wide left. From our vantage point in the booth, it looked like it went through the uprights, but no, wide left. The Vikings defense able to hold there, and the special teams unit gets it done as well. 12 plays, 71 yards, driving all the way down the field into the Vikings red zone, but nothing to show for it as we're still got a 18-7 game.
Yeah, Max, you think maybe a little mind game there from Marcel Anderson, jumping offside on purpose to get him closer to throw him off?
No, get out of here with that. There's no situation when you do that, but hey, you'll take it at the end of the day.
Of course.
So 1 for 3 on the season now as Preciado. And the Vikings will come in on offense once more. 2 timeouts in the pocket with 2:54 on the clock. Fakes the handoff, and it's a throw over to the near hand side, and that's Ely. He was smothered immediately after catching the ball, and that's Irish coming up for the tackle. The long snapper on one play, and he comes up and gets his vengeance, forcing a 2nd down and 10 now.
The blocking could have held up a little better there. I know I've said that so many times over the course of this first half, but number 21 there, Austin Hurts, he didn't hold his block so well, and it led to no gain on that play.
Tight bunch to the forehand side as Johnson comes out of the shotgun set. It's a belt-high snap. He looks down the near sideline, has a step on the defender once more, and a full diving attempt for Brian Pierce Jr. on the play. Coverage by Rashawn Boone as the Vikings look to go deep once more. A flag is in the Vikings backfield here as possibly a hold on the Vikings. Yep, that's exactly it. So the the Knights will actually decline the penalty, and it'll be 3rd down and 10 now. Yeah, this is always an interesting situation to me. You have 2nd down and 10, you can push it down to 2nd down and 20, but instead you decline it, making it 3rd down and 10. I mean, I understand both thought processes behind it. If you push him back, you give him 2 opportunities to get that 20 yards, but if not, then you still force a 3rd down and long.
Right.
And that's exactly what they do with Johnson at quarterback once again. Johnson taking a 3-step drop. He steps in the pocket, pump fakes, throws it across the middle. It's caught by Ely. Ely brought it in. He was massively hit at the end of that catch by Irish, but he still is able to hold on to that ball, and a 15-yard reception to Mikel Ely, and that moves the chains for the Vikings with 2:06 remaining. Ely is Mr. Magic on 3rd down, and he does it once more. Pulls a rabbit out of his helmet as the Vikings hurry up to the line. 3 receivers over the near hand side of the shotgun as Johnson once more. Chest high snap. Johnson, quick throw across the middle. That's brought in alongside the left hip. And that was Anthony Amenderes, the wide receiver, getting the reception. It's a 9-yard gain, and the Vikings in their hurry up here in their 2-minute offense. It'll be 2nd down and 1 now from the 44.
Watch out for Brian Pierce, bottom of your screen here on single coverage.
And it's a handoff instead, bouncing it over to the near-hand side. A foot there and a dive forward for the 1st down. That was Jalen McLaughlin coming up for the carry. Melancon, pardon me, the freshman out of Castro Valley High School. A couple different backs into the backfield for the Vikings so far this evening. We've seen 4. 18-7. 1:30 remaining here. Johnson, a quick pass over to the near-hand side, and just a heads-up play by Brian Pierce Jr. He caught it at just about the 49-yard line, brought it to the near sideline, and steps out of bounds to save some time as Jalen Watson comes up to make the play. Just saving those timeouts.
Just to play late, Max. Sorry, interrupted, but just to play late. Pierce was he was there. Great awareness to get the ball out of bounds and stop the clock.
Yeah, Pierce. A comeback game for sure after really just not having a great week against Butte last time. So it's so good to see him. The bounce back from UC Davis, just having a night. Inside of the Shasta side of the field, Johnson takes the chest high snap. He looks down the middle of the field. He throws it near hand side, and that's snagged in by Brian Pierce Jr. once more at the 30-yard line. Rashawn Boone makes the tackle on the play, but a big pickup on the field for the Vikes there of just about 20 yards. The first down pickup for the Vikes sets it up at the 30-yard line with 1:15 counting down here. Vikings with the trips formation over to the far hand side. Johnson feeling his groove. He's pressured. Rolls out to the near hand side. Eyes are down the field. Throws it late. And it's brought in at his fingertips. That's Elijah Alonso bringing it in right at the sticks. And they'll give him a little extra on the play. The spot to gain was at the 20-yard line. The ball was brought down at the 17. So a pickup of 13 on the play, and the Vikings continue to hurry onto the ball inside of 1 minute to play here in the second quarter. Johnson rolling out to his right, buying time, throws it late, and it's brought in and stepping out of bounds, going backwards. So the play clock might continue to run as Deshaun Smith, the transfer out of Santa Rosa College, comes up to make the play, and the clock will continue to run. The Vikings do have 2 timeouts if they can see, and they are hurrying up to the ball. Nope, they take a timeout at the end of the play. So that was a heads-up play from the defensive backs of Shasta, forcing the receiver to come back for the ball, step out of bounds on his own willpower. So just a little off the mark on the throw for Jerry Johnson, but the Vikings fortunately have those 2 timeouts. They're able to take the timeout. It'll be a 2nd down and 4 from the 17-yard line with 42.9 seconds remaining here in the second quarter of play as the Vikings are looking to get the 3rd score of the second quarter.
I thought that was great from the coaches to take a timeout there. That was smartly used.
Yeah, I saw the hand of Garcia come up, and he went go ahead with the spinning of his wrist, but at the end of the day, they end up taking the timeout because they see they got 2.
Right.
This Vikings offense has looked stellar so far in this game. The running game has come together at points and pieces, but Jerry Johnson, more than anything, has just been zipping it down the field.
I want to take you back a couple plays, Max. His pocket presence allowed that play to develop, that reception on the play. Great pocket presence from the QB there.
So the Vikings, after the timeout, facing that 2nd down and 6 from the 13-yard line with 42.9 seconds remaining here, and they'll come out in the trips look in the backfield as Jalen Malenkon. Johnson throws it off his back foot, and that's a touchdown for Elijah Alonso. 13-yard pitch and catch as Alonso mixed it in the end zone for the touchdown. Vikings 24, Knights 7. 11 plays, 85 yards for this Vikings offense as they churn down the field in their 2-minute offense, and they get into the end zone for 6.
That was great play design there. I'll continue after this PAT.
Snap is off, hold is down. The kick is up for the first time this evening, and it splits the uprights. The Vikings finally able to pin 7 on the board after scoring a touchdown. 25-7 is our score as the Vikings taking a commanding lead over the Knights of Shasta College here in this first half of play. 38.3 seconds remaining now.
I just wanted to say, Max, that play design was great. It had the slot receiver going to the back end of the end zone, ended up making the catch as another one came crossing. It confused the DBs. Great play there also. Great throw from Johnson as well.
Yeah, off his back foot, Johnson was able to heave that ball up, and just a terrific job by Elijah Alonso, able to diagnose the defense, find that wide open spot alongside the A of the Diablo Valley end zone logo. And now let's possibly see if we get a squib kick from the Vikings, as there still are 2 more timeouts in the pocket of Shasta. They could get aggressive on the play here. Burn as much clock as possible, I think, is the name of the game. But we could also see one kick deep. Michael Vaquero booting it away as he's taken over kicking duties, as the kickoffs were handled in the first week by Zane Hall. Vaquero, a winding kick that'll bounce down and eventually go into the end zone. So the ball will be brought out to the 25-yard line after the touchback. And now let's see what the sophomore quarterback Eli Webe can do, as he has 2 timeouts in his pocket with 38.3 seconds remaining. So the Vikings did get the ball first after Shasta won the toss, and they declined, so they will get the ball at the other side of the break. But I think with 2 timeouts in your pocket, you get a little aggressive here and see what you can do.
Absolutely. Maybe take a shot.
So Webe will come out in his pistol spread. We've been seeing this all night long. I think we've only seen one shotgun snap tonight. It's been pistol all night long. Webe, three-step drop. The pressure comes as he throws it underneath. That's caught in by his tight end, Pete Pennington. And Pennington will be brought down after a gain of 8 on the play as Nico Bowler makes the tackle. And the clock will continue to turn down inside of 25 seconds now as they hurry to the line. Cortinez is right behind Webe once more as Webe comes out from the far hash mark. Webe with the chest side snap. Webe looking towards the far sideline. He rolls out to his left and just shovels this ball away. And the clock will stop at 14.1 seconds here. 2 timeouts still in the pocket of Shasta College. And they will face a 3rd down and 2 now.
Yeah, DVC coming out 2 straight plays in a deep zone look. They're saying, hey, if you want to check it down, go for it. We got guys. You have no time. You're not going to get it by. They just don't want to get beat down the field and give up potentially a game to get a touchdown to get back into the game for Shasta.
And the Vikings in their muddle here. It'll be a quick screen pass over the near-hand side over to Johnson as Johnson catches the ball at the 32-yard line before bringing it down to the 40. Gets the first down before Ciale, the linebacker, comes up for the tackle here. And the clock will stop momentarily as the chains move here. And the clock is still running here in Shasta. I don't think you're going to get another playoff. I think they're just going to live with it. I thought maybe you see another timeout taken, you come back for one more shot down the field, but instead, the clock hits 0 here in the first half of play has come to a close. 25-7, the Vikings lead the Knights of Shasta College here. 4 touchdowns for the Vikings, 3 of them end up being 6-point touchdowns rather than 7 points because the PAT and the 2-point conversion were not good, but the Vikings were able to boot it in on their last one, running their 2-minute offense, and Shasta College has had some opportunities, but they just have not been able to get it into the end zone outside of their opening drive of the game.
Yeah, this I'd say the big thing for me here is the DVC defensive backs. They've really come into their own as the game has progressed. They got into the second quarter, and they blanketed those Shasta receivers.
So with that, it'll send us to a halftime break here. 20 minutes on the clock, and we'll be back on the other side of the break with more DVC Vikings football here on DVC Vikings Live. Halftime coming at you now. Back here for second half action. And let's give you a recap of what's been going on in the first quarter, or the first half of play, I should say. So DVC opened the opening drive of the game. They drove it down 10 plays, 66 yards, and that was capped off by a 16-yard pass touchdown from Johnson over to number 88, a streaking Peichel, who was just left wide open. And he went all the way into the end zone. It was a botched hold, so the Vikings had a 6-0 lead at that point. Shasta answered on their opening drive as they had an 11-play, 63-yard capped off by a short pass from Webe over to Jahari Johnson, and the score was 7-6, as that was the only lead of the game for Shasta. After Shasta turned it over on downs, the Vikings were able to string together a 7-play, 55-yard drive capped off by a 5-yard Sean Davis rushing touchdown. He almost had a potential touchdown on the Peichel play, but instead it was a holding call, and they moved that call back. So Davis was finally able to get on the board after that 5-yard rushing touchdowns. The Vikings continued to put their foot on the pedal as they converted on a 3rd down and 10 and had a 68-yard passing touchdown from Johnson over to Brian Pierce, as Pierce just burnt the defender and was able to get all the way into the end zone for that pay dirt. And finally, on the last play, the Vikings were able to put together a perfect 2-minute drill, and a 10-play, 66-yard drive was capped off by a 5-yard passing touchdown from Johnson to Alonzo. So the kick is off, and it'll be fielded down at the 5-yard line, working down the near sideline, cutting it back over to the hash marks. Breaks one arm tackle from the Vikings as the Vikings got the ball to start the game, as Shasta ended up getting winning the coin toss, declining, and now they will get the ball first in the second half of play after return by number 23. That is Richard Turner, who's done the return duties so far tonight for Shasta College. So let's see what Webe has to offer here. Let's see what halftime adjustments that Brian Hamilton and his offensive coordinator Daniel Lewis have in store here, as this Vikings defense has shown to falter a little bit in the second half of plays. They got a little bit tired, but let's see if they can come out strong and put together 4 great quarters of play. It'll be a handoff over the left-hand side to start off the game, and that'll be Jason Abbey, as Abbey breaks the first initial tackle but only gets a gain of 2 on the play, as Joshua Leiston makes the tackle for the Vikes.
Max, we talked about it all first half. Got to hit the first hit. Get him down. There was a guy in there. I didn't see what number, but there was someone in there. Got to get him down on that first hit. You don't want him getting any extra yards.
But you will live with a 3-yard rush on the play. So 2-back pistol once more. They'll motion Jahari Johnson across the formation and hand it off to him on the jet sweep. The outside containment wasn't quite able to get there as they strip down the shoulder of Johnson. And Johnson takes a hard hit on the play as Amari Cormier comes up for the tackle alongside Anthony Munoz. And now will be 3rd down and 10 after a loss of 3 on the play on the jet sweep.
The second wave of tacklers did a great job there.
And Jahari Johnson has had a lot of success running that jet sweep with 2 rushing touchdowns on the year. And that time the Vikings had him sniffed out all the way. There was 1 missed tackle, but the cavalry came, and all the helmets got to the ball. And that'll be a 3rd down and long here. 2 receivers out to the far-hand side with the tight end split off the left side. And it'll be a pistol look, caught off the right hip. That's Webe throwing it across. Coming back for the ball is Johnson, as Johnson breaks 1 tackle, shimmies down the near sideline as he veers towards the near hash mark, and he's brought down after a gain of 15 on the play. A huge pickup over from Webe to Johnson, and that's Warwick Hoban making the tackle for the Vikes. Man, that is tough. The Vikings doing such a great job, and at the end of the day, just a terrific job from the 6'3 freshman out of Reading and Jahari Johnson. Pistol snap and a handoff this time. Plenty of space up the middle, but the Vikings defense finally able to sniff it out after a gain of 3, bringing it out to the 39-yard line was a carry by Jason Abbey. Abbey didn't play last week against San Joaquin Delta, but he's been one of the backs getting a lot of different carries, as Jordan Davis alongside Joshua Leiston, the defensive lineman, came back retreating 5 yards to make the tackle from the 41.
Well, there's your answer, Max. If the first guy can't get him down, just swarm him.
2 receivers to the far side from the near hash mark. Webe comes out. White helmets, white jerseys, and the green pants as Webe throws it across the middle of the field, and that's brought in once again. Jahari Johnson has been the man on the drive as the ball will be spotted down right near the line to gain, and they will end up bringing the chains there. Jahari was bounced off as the Vikings looked like they might have made contact a little too early on the play. Johnson still able to pick up the 1st down yardage, though.
Yeah, not the worst coverage there from the defensive back, but I think he was a little fortunate to get away with no DPI there. He got there a little early.
So a pistol spread look here. From the DVC D Vikings logo at the 46-yard line, as Shasta's putting together quite a drive here. They'll motion Jahari Johnson across, and it'll be a handoff up the middle, and he's buried in the backfield. Cortinez came up for the carry, but Isaiah Nobriga filled the gap, and that's a 2-yard tackle for loss on the play by the linebacker for the Vikes. 2nd down and 11 after eventually only being a 1-yard loss on the play.
That was great from Nobriga. He came, he shot the gap, and he brought him down. No second wave of tacklers needed that time.
The Vikings forced their 3rd down on the opening part of this drive, but since then it's been conversion after conversion for Shasta College. Same formation here as they bring Johnson across the formation, and the ball was swatted down. There was a wide open receiver running down the middle of the field. That was number 81 for Shasta College, Pete Pennington, who's the leading touchdown receiver for this team. But instead, the swing pass went out to the far-hand side to Johnson, who was in the motion. You could hear the coaches for Shasta to the right-hand side screaming out touchdown, but unfortunately for Shasta, it's a ball batted down by the defensive line of the Vikings. It'll be 3rd down and 11 from the 45 now.
There was a Shasta receiver on the far side running free down the side. That's probably what they're not too happy about.
So Malachi Quignon, and as the receiver on the near-hand side, as it's a shotgun spread look now as Webbe comes out, and they'll eventually actually put Jason Abbey out in the pistol look now. Vikings sending pressure. Webe throws it over the far-hand side, and the ball's tipped away. That was Adrian Marche batting the ball away at the end of the play. It'll be 4th down here, and the punting unit will come out for the 2nd time today for Shasta College as the Vikings get it done on defense on the opening drive of the 2nd half from Shasta, and they will send out their punt return team here.
That was okay defense from the Vikings, but, you know, that ball was underthrown from Webe. He needs to do better there in that situation.
Brian Pierce Jr. will be the deep man to return it as the punter Josie Mendoza comes out for the 2nd time this evening. It was a 9-play, 23-yard drive here, as it was just a little under 4 minutes of play taken off the clock here in the 3rd quarter. Snap is off. Able to hold it, and a low line drive punt will be fielded down to the 25-yard line, crossing midfield out to the 40-yard line as he hurdles his own defender, or his own blocker rather. And that was a nice pickup on the play right to about the original line to gain for Shasta College. A flag comes in on the far-hand side, as that was just a nice little pickup on the play and a great return by Brian Pierce Jr. Let's see what this flag is.
Max, before we get the announcement on the flag, I just want to give a quick credit there to Chase Robinson. He gave a great block and allowed a bigger return for the returner.
Yeah, Robinson was the guy on the ground that had to be hurdled there as he put all his body into that. So let's see what the official has in store for us here, as the ball is still marked down at just about where the tackle was made at the 45. So it looks like it will be a hold on the Vikings here, as that will send them back 10 yards after the spot. So let's see where the hold was officially called on, and the ball will eventually be marked down. Let's call it the 33-yard line of the Vikings here. That's exactly it. So the Vikings will come out on offense for the first time in the 2nd half with 11:37 remaining here in the 3rd quarter, holding a commanding 25-7 lead here. Awkward score as the Vikings unable to convert on 3 different PAT attempts, but on their last offensive drive of the 2nd quarter, they were able to run the 2-minute drill, cap it off with the 5-yard touchdown to Alonzo, and get the PAT on top of it. Bunch out to the far-hand side as Johnson rolls out to his right. Johnson throws it off his back hip as he throws it a little too far ahead. Elijah Alonzo beat the double coverage over the top. The ball was dropped down at the 30, while Alonzo was still at the 35-yard line, and that's a missed opportunity to hook up Alonzo with potentially a 2nd touchdown of the day. So instead, it'll be a 2nd down and 10.
Elijah Alonzo, he burned the defender, had a step there, had maybe 2 or 3 steps. Johnson couldn't find him. And Max, I just want to say, DVC scored a touchdown here. It's hard to see a way back for Shasta.
Yeah, this DVC Vikings unit has really proved all the naysayers wrong throughout 1 half of play. And they're looking to get their first win of the season, opening up 0-2. From the near hash mark, Johnson will hand it off over to Cribb. Cribb sweeping over to the right-hand side as Cribb just buried in the backfield. Nowhere to go there as he tried to stretch it over the right-hand side as Irish comes up for the tackle. We've called his name. I think he's made the last 3 tackles. And Irish just doing a great job filling the gap from his linebacker position here.
Yeah, and I know Irish, he's putting in his work on his defensive shift, and he's having a great game here.
Coming into this game, had 6 total tackles and a fumble recovery from the sophomore out of Hawaii. Vikings facing a 3rd down and 10 here. I'd love to see them possibly get some of the running game going, but unfortunately, Cribb wasn't able to get much on that rushing attempt. Brian Pierce Jr. motioning across the formation, and from between the hash marks closer to the far hash mark, Johnson will take the chest high snap. Johnson stepping up in the pocket. Johnson eyes downfield as he rolls out to his right-hand side, throws it late, has a wide open receiver, and that's Cribb who snuck out of the backfield, but he just got a little too far ahead of himself. If Cribb had made the catch, that would have been a first down brought in at the 45-yard line with 2 defenders about 5 yards apart, but instead, Cribb just got a little too ahead of himself and just eyes down the field before catching the ball, and that's a play that the veteran sophomore running back will want back.
Yeah, it's something you're taught from a young age. Any sport you play, you got to keep your eyes on the ball, Max. So just back to the basics, back to the fundamentals there for Pierce. Excuse me, Cribb.
That's Cribb, yeah. So the Vikings with a punt on their opening drive here of the second half. Possibly more of a defensive game going into the second half of play. Let's see what the punter has in store. So that's Vaquero with an end-over-end punt that will take a DVC Vikings bounce after booting it down to the 30-yard line, taking an additional 5 yards on the play and flipping the sides of the field out to the 25-yard line. First down and 10 will be spotted down at the, they're going to mark it down right at that far hash mark on the 25-yard line as the Vikings flip the sides of the field here.
Well, for the key, I'd say, in this half for this DVC defense, Max, is just keep blanketing those receivers downfield. You keep doing that, you're going to have a successful second half.
So after the 3 and out, a good job flipping the field by the punter, Michael Vaquero. And the Vikings with the late substitution here.
Those DBs are up on the line. This could be man blitz.
And it'll be a handoff over to the left-hand side.
There you go.
Swarmed immediately. Man, that was a pickup on the play from Eli Cortinez, but Cortinez, the moment he got that ball, just 4 different Vikings defenders there, holding onto his belt line, rubbing him back, and he'll eventually say that the forward momentum will bring him forward for a gain of 2 here, 2nd down and 8. It'll officially be 2nd and 7 on the field after they say he got 3 yards on the play. 10 minutes on the clock and another rushing attempt over the far-hand side for Cortinez. As Cortinez dragging one Vikings defender there, came in with an arm tackle, able to continue to drag him forward for another gain of 3 on the play. So it'll be 3rd down and just about 4 after Malik Viewins makes the tackle for the Vikes.
Yeah, that's not a name we've heard too much today, I don't think. But
no, Viewins has made a lot of plays actually tonight. A lot of them have come off special teams, but yeah, he's you got to do better than put one arm out there for the first Vikings player on the ball. Pistol look once more. That's Webe motioning his receiver across the formation, and Webe throws a quick pass across the middle of the field, caught in by Johnson. Johnson breaks one tackle at the 40-yard line as he gets the first down yardage necessary and brings it in after about a gain of about 10 yards out to the 41-yard line.
That was an interesting call from the defensive coordinator, Coach Travis there. He went into a deep zone, and it looked like they just were content with giving that short stuff up. Interesting call. Interesting call.
So the Vikings will come out in a 3-man front here. There'll be another pistol look as the linebackers come out to the line late on the play. And that just looked like a rugby play as Jason Abbey got it in the backfield, and the scrum continued to push him forward for a gain of 5 on the play, bringing it down on the V of the DVC Vikings midfield logo. The ball will be about a 6-yard pickup and be marked down at the 47 of the Shasta Knights. It looks like the crowd really hasn't gotten back into this game as they did in the second half, so maybe some hometown love will send this unit to possibly get off the field for the second time here with 8:35 remaining in this third quarter. Another motion that's low across the formation, a swing pass over to the far-hand side. That's over to Abbey. And Abbey just unable to get anything there. And it'll be 3rd down and intermediate, 3rd down and 4 after the play. If the Vikings can hold up here, I would believe you have to send out the punting unit. So this is a big 3rd down here to try to get the Shasta Knights off the field.
Yeah,
one person to keep an eye out for Pete Pennington there, the big tight end.
This is one of those awkward spots, Max. You could send out the punting unit, or it could be 4-down territory. We'll see here.
Down Down about 3 possessions here, down 25-7. And Webe standing tall in the pocket, and that is Pennington right across the middle of the field. He ran the post route, brings it into Vikings territory as he is brought down at the 37-yard line by Nico Bowler. Anytime he's touched the ball, Bowler has tackled him down, but this time around he sneaks forward for a huge gain on the play, and this is another first down for the Knights.
Yeah, Pete Pennington, we talked about him pregame, that huge 6'6" size, just massive, getting over the top there.
Pennington in the slot on the near-hand side of that pistol gun once again as Webe. In the backfield is Abbey. Hand off over to Abbey. Nope, it's a quarterback keeper and a swing pass over to Johnson as Johnson veers over to the near hash marks. And that'll be a tackle made down at the 29-yard line by Marcus Nunes, the linebacker, and another chunk pick up down to the 29-yard line as it'll be second down and short for this Knights offense, who are starting to find their rhythm here. Officials timeout on the field here. So, Colin, what is this unit doing to really just find some momentum here in the second half of play? Obviously, they got a few first downs before having to punt the ball away on their opening possession, but this Knights unit is looking really nice so far. Yeah,
this Knights unit, they've hit them with a combination of quick passing and short yard gains on runs, and it just seems to be working because this DVC defense, it looks like they're backing off, kind of like, you know, you guys can have all that. We don't care. We're up by 18, so we'll let you have the short stuff. You're killing time for us, and as long as you don't get in the end zone, we're good.
Yeah, it's that bend but don't break that we talked about before, as it looks like a DVC Vikings player is struggling off the field, as that was Fa'ala'u, the running back. Oh, pardon me, that was actually the wrong team there, as that was Isaiah Nobriga, the linebacker, who's made quite a few different tackles tonight, coming off the field with some assistance from the fabulous DVC trading staff. I'll tell you, when I was a player here, I was one of the clinic babies, as they like to call it, so they have a very soft spot in my heart. I love that athletic training program for DVC very much. Up back off the left-hand side, now out of the pistol as the possibly motion Johnson. Nope, Johnson's going to be the lone receiver on the far-hand side as Webe faces a second down and short. And the handoff will go over to Abbey as Abbey runs through a hole in the middle of the field before being tackled down by number 42, Cameron Moore, the defensive end on the play.
The Knights offensive line there did a very good job of getting a lane for their running back. If they can keep doing that, they could find a way back into this one.
And the offensive line is talking to the crowd, trying to get them back into the game now, as the Vikings do have this 25-7 lead with 7:03 remaining here, and Shasta driving all the way down the field, all the way out to the 24-yard line now. And a miscommunication as Webe is able to roll out to his left-hand side. Eyes are down the field, takes a huge hit to his throwing arm, as that was Adrian Mache, coming up to make the tackle at the end of the play, and he just turned the wrong direction. Webe turned to his left-hand side, and that was Jason Abbey running to the right-hand side, and then just Webe doing all that he can to pick up one on the play before taking a big hit from Mache.
Yeah, that one doesn't happen too often, but that's just a mental mistake there.
Yeah, and you got to factor in as well, Jason Abbey did not play against San Joaquin Delta last week, only played against Ridley College, where he had 9 rushes for 47 yards in that game, but maybe a week off and a little bit of jitters here as a go route is tossed down the far-hand side, and at the end of the play, it looked like double coverage over the top as number 4 was on the coverage. That was the nickel Anthony Henry, who also plays some safety as well. Jahari Johnson was the intended receiver on the play, as 2 different Vikings defenders really tripped him up. It'll be 3rd down and 9 after the play, as there's no flags on the field.
I thought that was defended really well, Max. Yeah, nothing else to say about it.
The end of the play, it was a little awkward with Johnson falling down, so I thought maybe a little hands inside of the chest and some of that dirty hand fighting action that is taught here at DVC. I mean, it's only a penalty if they call it, right?
Could not be more right about that.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Raider rule number 1. And this team, the Vikings, trying to get off on 3rd down. Webe, plenty of time, and he ended up having to throw it away. He had time in the pocket, but he had to retreat before the 2 defensive ends collapsed at the end of the play, and that'll be a 4th down, and let's see what's in store here.
This will definitely be an interesting call.
4 for 6 on 4th down conversions coming into this game for Webe, but since then, I believe they're 2 for 4 in the evening, and they will go for it here. So this is within the kicking range, so the target field goal range is at the 26-yard line, so they are inside of Presidio's kicking range, but I think in this position, down 25-7, you gotta go for it.
You can hear that DVC crowd getting into it, trying to pump up their guys.
Webe rolls out to his right side. Webe, eyes are still down the field, throws it late, and it's intercepted on the near-hand side. Picked off by Jaden Price. The safety read the ball over the top. It looked like almost a throwaway from Webe, and the Vikings get their first INT of the game as a flag comes in after the play. It is inside the vicinity of where there would possibly be a hold, so let's see, and let's hold up before. But as it currently stands, interception by the free safety, Jaden Pizzle Price. So it will be a call against the Vikes, so that scratches off the INT from the board. I don't know exactly what the call is, but the ball will be spotted down at, man, this one is a tough one. The ball will be spotted down to be first down and goal from the 8-yard line after the, I believe that was pass interference on the play.
I thought it was good coverage, Max. Oh.
So the Vikings are put into a tough position as they will face a first down and goal from the 8-yard line with 5:57 counting down and possibly a timeout taken by Shasta, and that's exactly it. So after a potential interception goes the other way with the pass interference, we'll have a timeout on the field with 5:57 counting down in this third quarter play as the Vikings have a 25-7 lead over the Knights of Shasta College here on DVC Vikings Live. (25-7) the score as the Vikings have a lead here. And Shasta trying to get their first score of the second half. 18-point lead for the Vikes here as Webe comes out in the pistol look once more, motioning Jahari Johnson across the formation, and a tough tackle made. Jason Abbey got the ball, and the Vikings snuffed it out immediately as Hoban comes up for the tackle right at the line of scrimmage. Let's say that's a tackle for loss, just about half a yard on play, and the ball will be brought down to the 10-yard line now.
Max, I don't mind the call there, but time is running out for this team. They got to start doing some things, get in the end zone quickly now.
I mean, it's an 18-point game, so yes, it is still 3 possessions, but with the Vikings missing so many balls, I do concur with your statement. 2 receivers out to the far-hand side between the hash mark. Webe is there, out in the pistol once more. He'll motion Johnson from right to left. He'll take a snap, and he'll be blown up right in front of his face as this right tackle, and continuing to buy time.
That was tripping.
Eventually rolls out to his left, and then just steps out of bounds. It looks like a tripping call will be called on number 71. That's the left tackle, Matthew Lafaleu, the freshman out of Tacoma, Washington.
Yeah, that was a textbook tripping day, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So tripping, and that ball would bounce back all the way.
Was that Cameron Moore in on him, the big 6'7", 260-pound freshman? He got in there really fast, and there was nothing LaFou could do.
And I believe Eli Webe is off on the sideline here as he tossed his helmet down at the end of the play. Maybe tripped up at the far side or maybe pulled a hammy on the far-hand side. So this is going to be really interesting. Let's see. I believe Levi Durrell, the freshman out of Newburgh, Oregon, will be the second-string quarterback. So maybe another time will have to be burned by Shasta College as this ball is brought back very far. The ball was spotted down at the 8-yard line at first down and goal, but since then it's been brought all the way outside of the red zone to the 25-yard line, and we'll get a second quarterback coming in after the injury to Eli Webe. So let's try to get some eyes on the field, and that will be Levi Durrell. 8 passes for 13 yards, 64 yards, or 8 passes out of 13 for 64 yards and 1 touchdown the year so far. And the backup quarterback comes to the game in a dire situation on 2nd down and 25. So a reverse will go over to Jahari Johnson as Johnson tries to turn the corner, and he is eventually chopped down by a tough tackle made by Jaden Price there. A lot of eye candy, but only a gain of 3 on the play as the ball is brought down to the 22-yard line.
Great tackle, Jaden Price. Came flying in like a missile. Did not miss his target.
Yeah, you would love to see the outside contain, but you cannot complain when your safety comes up and it makes the play. So that's Malachi Quignon coming into the game now, as Jahari Johnson was the man on the play, and the quarterback still in the game is Levi Durrell. Durrell out of the pistol. He'll take a 3-step drop, looking across the far side of the field. It's 1-1 coverage across the far side, and that's picked off in the end zone. A 23-yard pass attempt is snagged up by number 4, Anthony Henry, the freshman out of Michigan. And he closes the drive off. The passing attempt by the reserve quarterback Levi Durrell is picked off by the Vikings. The ball we brought out in between the hash marks at the 20-yard line after the INT.
Couldn't have drawn that one up better, Max. Great coverage there from Henry. You're not beating him from there.
So a 6-minute drive, or 6-minute plus drive. That was a 14-play, 53-yard drive. A lot of momentum going the way of Shasta, but it was picked off by Mr. Henry. And the Vikings will have pressure there, as that'll be the second sack of the evening, as Jerry Johnson is taken down far behind his line of scrimmage. The ball was spotted down at the 20-yard line, and it's a 6-yard sack on the play.
Looks like he couldn't get the ball out of his hands. It got caught up in his hands. Just could not get it out.
So Johnson pointing to the sideline saying, "This is my bad," but my bads don't really cut it. Johnson, though, you do love his commanding leadership here in the second half, or pardon me, in this third game of the season throughout the first half. And the Vikings will come out in a tight shotgun set now between the hash marks. It's a belt-high look. Johnson standing tall in the pocket. Johnson rolls out to his right-hand side as he throws out to the far sideline, caught at the original line of scrimmage. Breaks one tackle as he couldn't quite tightrope the sideline, as that was Elijah Alonso coming up with the reception. Let's see where he stepped out of bounds. I believe Elijah stepped out of bounds at about the 24, 25-yard line, and no, instead another holding call. So this holding call will possibly make it second down in 26. So the Vikings are able to get off the field with an interception on one side, but this drive has really hit a snag here.
It feels like holds have killed this team all game long. Penalties flying left and right. They got to calm it down.
So the Vikings will be backed up an additional 10 yards. They're inside of the 10-yard line now from the 8-yard line. 3:37 remaining here in the third quarter of play. And the Vikings with this 18-point lead, looking to build on top of it, but they've got a lot of real estate in front of them to pick up the first down. Second down and 22 from the 8. Wide shotgun spread look as Johnson gets the belt high snap inside of his end zone. He'll drop off a screen pass over to Cribb. Cribb veering towards the near hash marks. Or pardon me, it's the far hash marks as he gets a nice chunk of yardage back. Brings it down to just about a yard past the original line of scrimmage. That ball was brought in at the 22-yard line. So it's about a pickup of, let's call it 13 on the play, as Cribb finally able to get involved in the passing game, as we've seen him do successfully in the first game of the season.
I think that was the perfect time to bring out the screen pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not defense not looking for it. That was gain of what, about 12, 13 yards.
Mm-hmm. Makes it third down and, well, this is still third down and long at third down and 8, but it makes it more manageable than previously.
Definitely.
Play action fake. Johnson flips his hips as he throws it towards the near sideline and tiptoes down. That's an NFL catch brought in by Brian Pierce as he brings it in at the 34-yard line.
That's a great throw. Great awareness from the receiver there to bring it down. Is that number 7, Elijah Alonso?
I believe that was number 3.
Number 3, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Brian Pierce on that play. Great awareness from him to get 1 foot down.
Both feet down, and then eventually just took the knees. So an NFL catch as the Vikings are able to dig themselves out of a second down and 22. And now they're hurling to the line. 3 receivers out to the far-hand side. Johnson rolls out to his right. Johnson, time to throw. Johnson continues, and then he runs down the far sideline. And look at him tiptoeing in his Jordans there as he walks out 10 yards plus, and he'll get the first down. I don't know if he actually has Jordans on, but he's got some Nikes on his feet, I believe, and just a nice pickup on the play. Bought as much time as possible, I should say, and that's a 10-yard rush from the second-year quarterback, the sophomore quarterback, I should say, at a Pittsburgh High.
Yeah, that's that great pocket awareness coming back, and we've seen it throughout the game. He knows he's great with it, and he saw no options downfield. They were covered well by the Knights, took what the defense gave him, got the first down.
Yeah, Johnson said, my bad, and he made up for it on that play for sure. Bunch out to the near hand side. Play action fake and a throw. It's a slant across the middle of the field, and it took 4 different defenders to bring him down. Eventually tackled down by Jalen Watson, and I believe that was Mikkel Ely getting a big pickup on the play.
Max, this offense is moving now. Hard to imagine a way back in for Shasta if these guys can score on this drive.
18-point lead here as the Vikings missed 3 different PAT attempts. They missed 2 kicking attempts, and they missed a 2-point conversion attempt as well. But this Shasta offense that came in the game looking pretty solid. I mean, they were ranked in the top 25 of the 3C 2A, and the Vikings defense has really come out and showed that they're a better team than what they put on film last week.
Oh, there's pressure off the edge.
There's pressure, and Johnson just has to turn around and eat the sack. Screaming off the edge was Jason Edwards, and the Vikings once again will be placed well behind the line of scrimmage. So that was Javon Edwards coming in to make the tackle, or to make the sack rather.
He came screaming off the edge there, Max. Came in unblocked. Nothing you can do as Johnson.
Yeah,
eat
it was
it.
just a miscommunication from the offensive line as they allowed the free rusher there. It'll be 2nd down and 23. The Vikings converted on 2nd down and 22 earlier, but you don't want to be put in these situations too many times. From between the hash marks on the C of the DVC Vikings logo, Johnson's going to throw it over the top of the 50-yard line, and it's an incomplete pass. Just a heave to Mikkel Ely as that ball was thrown to a spot where truly Ely could only catch it against the zone defense, but Ely just wasn't able to get his feet down in time.
Honestly, there wasn't much wrong about that play. That was, like you said, only a spot where Ely could catch it. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way.
Yeah, and just diagnosed the defense well with the zone, but unfortunately just not much else on top of that. So the initial first down was spotted down at the Shasta 43-yard line, but the Vikings are going to have to snap it on 3rd down from the 44. They'll throw over to Hurts to the near-hand side as Hurts carries the ball about 3 yards after the initial catch, and he's brought down to the 45-yard line. They're going to call it actually at the 44-yard line as Hurts only gets 2 on the catch, and now the Vikings likely have to send out their punt unit.
Yeah, I think that was one of those rare double screens where you see the running back head off one way. If the quarterback doesn't like his option, he turns around and comes the other way. And Hurts, he did well. He went through his progressions. He didn't like what he had on the far side, came this side. You hope Hurts can break a tackle and maybe break it downfield. Just not the case there.
I mean, that's the situation there. It's like you don't have many plays in the playbook for 3rd down and 22. You just got to drop it off, see if something magical can happen. But instead, it'll be 4th down and 22 on the other side of the break here as you got to throw your 4s up for the 4th quarter. Play 15 minutes remaining here and this 3C2A football action here in week 3 at Vikings Stadium on DVC Vikings Live. Back on the field here as the Vikings will send out their punt unit after an 8-play, 24-yard drive that took 4 minutes and 23 seconds off the clock. So, I mean, time runs off the clock. That's a good thing for the Vikings as they're holding on to this 18-point lead. And let's see what Vaquero has in store. He's been doing a great job punting the ball this evening. Got a great bounce on his first one, a high winding one that flipped the sides of the field in the second. And on his 3rd attempt of the day, it's a toe-high snap that's handled well. It'll be a spiraling sideways ball that's bounced down. It might have been touched off the deep man. That was Caden Bryant who had the ball. And it'll be spotted down at the 9-yard line. It was a 3.57 second punt on the play, and it looked like it just went off of the fingertips, or barely moved off of the fingertips of Caden Bryant.
Yeah, Max, I thought that definitely touched him, and maybe it didn't hit him on the initial bounce, but I thought after when he grabbed it, it definitely skimmed him. But
Yeah, that was an awkward punt after a low snap from Dougie Silva, but the Vikings look like they might have pinned one inside of the 10-yard line.
Right, we forget that it was a great punt anyways.
And so I believe that ball was at the 44. Let's do some quick math. So 6, and then 50-plus yard punt, I believe. Quick maths don't work off the top of my head right now. So with 14:48 remaining, the Knights offense will come out on the field. They have not had, or they've had some success moving the ball, but they just haven't had success finding the end zone. And it'll be an interesting look to see as Levi Durrell comes out once again for the Shasta unit. And a slow handoff here as he breaks one tackle, and Jason Abbey, after a play that looked like it should have been tackled far behind the line of scrimmage, will go for it for a gain of 4 on the play. Or let's call that 5 on the play, as DVC finally able to make the tackle at, that's the 14-yard line after a Munoz tackle.
You think that was a read option, Max?
It looked like a really slow developing run. Maybe just it was supposed to be a play action fake, and then he held it there. I don't know. It's a backup quarterback, so it's a difficult situation. And another handoff, and this one was definitely a design run as he breaks forward through the initial line of scrimmage before being tackled down by Marcus Nunez, as that was a very nice pickup by Jason Abbey. But the clock will continue to run here. 2 timeouts left in the pocket of Shasta as they're down 18 with 14:04 left in this game. A pistol look for the freshman out of Newburgh. That's Durrell once again. Durrell will take a 3-step drop, throwing it down the near sideline. Has a step over over the defender as Marcel Anderson tried to trail at the end of the play, but just thrown a little too far ahead of Hakeem Lowe, the 5'11 freshman out of Acapulco, Florida.
That was a much better, I'd say from his perspective, a much better throw from the backup QB there, because the last one obviously he had picked off in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when you don't get too many reps, you're running the second team or maybe even the scout team in practice, you don't get that many opportunities to show off, so it's going to definitely take a little bit for him to get some oil inside of those gears and get things going.
Definitely.
And now a quick pass across the middle of the field, as this one will be incomplete. I don't see any flags on the field, as Pete Pennington was the intended receiver. It looked like 2 different Vikings defenders got right up inside of his grill, but no laundry, so it'll be 3rd down and 10 here with 13:48 counting down. And man, this is starting to look like a really difficult task for the Shasta Knights offense, with their second-string quarterback coming in after Webe exited the game, holding his hamstring on the far sideline after scurrying out of bounds. Motions the receiver, and it'll be a play-action fake for Durrell. Durrell throws it up once again, has a safety over the top, and just isn't able to quite drop it in to his intended receiver, Randy Gibson, as the Vikings playing a zone coverage across the top. The safety came, so even if Gibson was able to make the tackle, that would have been a hard hit coming his way, but instead it'll be a 3-and-out, and the Vikings will get the ball back. And at this point, I don't know what you really have in store if you're the Shasta unit. You got your backup quarterback in. He's played well in his limited snaps so far this game, but now the punt unit will come out, and the Vikings will look to see if they can really run that. Well, you call it a 4-minute offense because you're trying to run as much time off the clock, but in reality, you got to get your running game going. 3 seconds left on the play clock here as the snap needs to get off. And the snap is off with 1 second left. The long snapper was able to get it off. It'll be a high winding punt that's fielded down at the 45-yard line. No fair catch there as Pierce turns the side of the field. He works the far sideline out to the numbers 40. Hurdles over his own player once again as he's dropped down at the 32-yard line. He fumbled at the end of the play. And Shasta is saying they might have the ball. Pierce fumbled on a punt return last game, and let's see where this ball goes. I mean, you can only hurdle so many men before things start going wrong. And it will be a Shasta ball. So what potentially should have been a fair caught ball turned into a prolific run down the far sideline, but at the end of the play, the ball pops out, and I believe that was recovered by number 57, DeZole.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You come running down the sideline, you've got the crowd on their feet, huge return already, you hurdle a guy, bam, ball comes out.
And this is one of the points of that we talked about before the game, is just ball security. That's been a huge issue. We saw one interception, and now we see a turnover on a fumbled ball. So now hurrying to the line, it'll be a handoff off the right side. Plenty of space in front of him as he is finally upended by the whole entire Vikings defensive backfield as Malik Viewens, the linebacker, makes the tackle at the end of the play, but that was a big pickup, bringing the ball all the way out to the 50-yard line. So the ball's spotted down at midfield, and with 13-11, this is quote-unquote the 2-minute offense now, trailing by 18. A quick pass to the far-hand side. Avoids one tackler, getting past the sticks as Jahari Johnson is eventually brought out of bounds by Tanner Smiley.
That was a really skillful run from Jahari Johnson.
And now the defensive ends will rotate out for the Vikings here, trying to get some fresh bodies in and get a fresh pass rush. Jason Abbey will be in the backfield alongside Levi Durrell, the reserve quarterback, coming in after an injury, running off the field by Eli Wiebe, who's played a pretty solid game so far tonight. It's unfortunate to see him come out. Hopefully he's able to recover coming up soon, but the backup quarterback coming in and starting to put together a drive here.
Yeah, no doubt. He's had a couple miscues on the past couple drives, but seems to be figuring it out on this one, as looks like it.
And so I didn't see any penalties on the field, but I believe there will be a unsportsmanlike conduct or a late hit or something, because that ball moved an additional 15 yards at the end of the play.
We just mentioned it, Max. Avoidable penalties can't happen.
Ball spotted down at the 23-yard line after the penalty. And Durrell will motion his tight end across the formation in the pistol look once more. Heavy set off the left-hand side, and a handoff will cut right. That's Abbey once more as Abbey brings it into the red zone of the Vikings after a gain of 7 on the play.
Like I said earlier, Max, you can live with those if you're DVC. You can live with those short runs. It kills some clock, but
I mean, I don't think you can call 5 yards a short run, but I agree with you that the clock is still continuing to burn here as another pistol look goes over to Durrell. Durrell hands it off to Abbey. Abbey met in the backfield, and that was number 51 leading the charge for the Vikings, Joshua Leiston. So with that, the clock continues to count down. 12-13. Now it's Durrell trying to put something together here, trailing by 18 at the 19-yard line. Durrell, a quick pass, a throw, and it's brought in right at the sticks. That's Randy Gibson coming back. They try to throw it to him on the near sideline. And Randy Gibson, the 6'4 freshman out of Sheridan, Oregon, comes up with a big pickup, and it'll be first down and 10 from the 12-yard line. Low snap, handled well. Quarterback keeper tries to stiff arm, breaks one tackle. He's powering his way through inside of the 5-yard line. Wow, what a terrific power run for the 6'3", 205 freshman backup quarterback, bringing it down to the 4. He broke 2 or 3 different tackles. And man, that was a heck of a run, bringing it down inside of the Vikings 5 now. So a 7-yard rush on the play for Durrell. Durrell points out the coverage here as Vikings look to play a man-to-man coverage across the board. A 3-step drop and a throw way too far in front of his intended receiver. That was Jason Abbey swinging out into the flats from his running back position. But it looked like the running lanes just got a little too clogged up. The defensive end for the Vikings pushed the offensive lineman right into the passing lane, and then the awkward throw will result in a incompletion.
I think that throw might have been on purpose because he just didn't want it to get picked off because he saw the edge rusher coming off the edge.
Third down and 3 from the 4-yard line. Still able to pick up a first down at the 2. Motion the slot. Play action fake. And that's thrown into the back of the end zone as Pete Pennington, the leading touchdown receiver for this Knights offense, was running there. He had a step on his intended receiver, but that ball just went straight through his fingertips.
Did Malik Viewens get a hand on that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he got fingertips
was the man
on that.
in coverage there as he possibly came back late on the play and bats the ball away. So 4th down and just about 3 yards here as the ball spotted down at the 4-yard line. So you can still get a first down here if you're Durrell in this Knights offense, and a timeout will be taken before that. It's a very big play And the second timeout of the second half of play is burned by Shasta. So we'll take the timeout alongside with them. 25-7 is the score here with 11:05 remaining in the fourth quarter of play here. Week 3 in 3C2A football action here on DVC Vikings Live. Back here facing a very difficult 4th down and 3. So getting to the 1-yard line, you will still be able to pick up the first down, but this is a situation where you really need to get a score. Let's see if Levi Durrell can do something. Maybe that read option that we were talking about that potentially was run early. We see he's a very powerful quarterback.
Absolutely. Is that Jason Abbey in the backfield, number 21?
Yes, that is Jason Abbey in the backfield.
Yeah, we could see it here.
And and the motion across by Lowe, and it'll be a passing attempt, thrown over the top, and it's batted down at the end of the play. Malik Viewens definitely got his hands on that play as Pete Pennington tried to high point that ball, and Viewens says nope as the Vikings get off the field once more. The third time this evening, the Vikings have forced a turnover on downs. And let's see if this offense can continue to burn the clock down as there's 11 minutes remaining here in the fourth as the Vikings have an 18-point lead, 25-27.
I see the thought process there. They want to get it up to a guy who leads the team in touchdowns.
Oh, and a guy who happens to be 6'6" as well.
Right, exactly.
You throw the ball high, and then, just a tremendous play by Viewens.
The thought process was right there. Just the execution was a little bit off. Wow, 4 receivers set.
So the Vikings coming out in a spread look, and they will hand it off over to Cribb. Cribb shakes through the first initial hole.
Flag on the far side.
A flag is brought in as Cribb will be brought down after a gain of just about 2, and I think this will be half the distance to the goal and a hold for the Vikes. So I believe this will be a holding call. We're waiting for the official call here. And it will. So the ball will continue to back itself up. So you'll lose about 2 yards on the play as the ball was spotted down to the 4, half the distance to the goal. Be over at the 2, and I'm interested to see what the Vikings eventually do here. I don't think I've really seen an under center snap, but possibly a situation where you might want to run something along the lines of there with Jerry Johnson.
Just a quick thing, Max. I think that was one of the receivers was lined up in the neutral zone, actually.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was a hold.
So there you go. It was neutral zone there as the Vikings will come in on a shotgun spread from the 2-yard line. It'll be a handoff over to Cribb. And Cribb just doing all he can to get the Vikings some breathing room, bringing it out for a gain of 3 on the play. And he gets back to a yard past the initial line of scrimmage there. So it'll be 2nd down and 9 as Chase Barnes makes the tackle on the play for Shasta.
You know that's the goal now for DVC, just short yardage plays. They want to use all 3 downs and then get the first down on that 3rd.
Yeah, you're up by 18. There's only 1 timeout left by Shasta. So even if you don't really get much going, if you can continue to run the ball, if you can continue to get this clock running down, you're in a better situation. Trips out to the far side. Johnson will pass this time. Johnson throws it far side over to Hurts, and Hurts brings it in right about the line of scrimmage. And this is kind of what we were expecting from this defense of Shasta. They'll allow you to get these underneath passes, but they'll make the tackles inbound. So after a gain of about 2 on the play, Hurts will bring it out to the 10-yard line, and the clock will continue to run on 3rd down and 5. Inside of 9:30 to play as Johnson comes to call the play from his wristband inside of the huddle for the Vikings. And they'll come out with a bunch over to the near hand side from the far hash mark in the shotgun look once more.
This might be a blitz, Max.
Johnson rolls out to his right. He's going to pass it once more. Johnson, eyes are still down the field, And he throws it too far over the top for Mikel Ely, as Ely just jumped up, tried to do his best to maybe even get a fingertip on that ball. But the clock will stop here at 9:05 as the Vikings will have to punt it away. They turn it over, or they force a turnover on downs on defense at the 4-yard line. And now the Vikings punt unit will have to come on inside of their own 10-yard line to try to flip the sides of the field. Caden Bryant, last time he came out for a punt return, it was a very precarious situation as the ball bounced down just about at the 20-yard line, taking a 10-yard Vikings bounce. But as we saw in the booth, it could have potentially gone off his fingertips, but no call. So from his own end zone, Vicario will have to boot this ball away. The ball will bounce it out the 45-yard line, taking a 5-yard Vikings bounce, going into the Shasta side of the field before being brought down at the 49-yard line. A great job, 4.28 seconds on the punt, and able to get just about 40-plus yards on the punt. So in that terrible situation, you burn some clock on the play on the 4-yard punt, and now inside of 9 minutes, let's see what the reserve quarterback Levi Jurel has to offer. Jurel will work out the pistol once more. Handoff right side. And that was Abby, I believe, on the carry for 2 yards on the play before being tackled down by Marcus Nunes. And at this point, if you continue to run the ball, I think you might start to see a little bit of a fold on the side of Shasta. Get out this game.
Definitely maybe just want to go home.
Yeah. Shasta 1-1 coming in the game. The Vikings looking to get their first win of this season after a tough one against Butte, and that'll be a play-action fake. Burrell flipping his hips at the last possible second, and the ball will drop down in between 2 different Vikings defenders. Jahari Johnson was the intended receiver as the ball dropped down to the 15-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 8 now from the 48-yard line of the Vikings here. 8:21 remaining.
Yeah, Max, that was about the 3rd or 4th time that's happened today for the backup Darrell, and I think that's quite simply a lack of reps. He's overshot guys, he's undershot guys. We saw the pick in the end zone. That was an undershot. And that last play undershot as well. Just a lack of reps.
So Raciti still expecting to dial up some pressure. Just that typical DVC Vikings aggressive defense, as it's another play action fake and a screen pass off the fingertips, batted up in the air as Hakeem Lowe was coming back for the wide receiver screen, and the Vikings look to try to get on top of that ball. It was Adrian Mache coming up on the coverage. He batted that ball up, tried to get another tip drill interception. We saw that the first week against Fresno City College. So now 4th down. The ball will be spotted down at the – this one is going to be spotted down at the 46-yard line. And now you have another tall task to ask for your freshman quarterback. 4th down and 14 from the Shasta 46-yard line, 8:11 remaining here in the 4th quarter. Play trailing by 18. Darrell out of the pistol, knee-high snap, handles it well. He pump fakes, he rolls out forward, able to break 2 different Vikings defenders as he runs out to the 40-yard line. He's going to veer towards the far sideline. 30, steps out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Huge pickup on the play as he runs forward for about a gain of 24. And that is one thing he can definitely do. We see him with the power run, and now we see him with the finesse as the Vikings sold out there on the pass game. They rushed all the way down the field, and they left the freshman quarterback to convert on 4th down and long.
Yeah, let's give him some credit there. Maybe not getting it done in the air as we've seen, but like you said, on the ground, absolutely potent.
Tied on the left-hand side, 2 receivers out to the far-hand side, another handoff. That goes over to Abby as Abby runs into one different defensive lineman for the Vikings there before he's brought down by number 45, Marcus Nunes. That was a gain of 9 on the play, spotted down at the 21-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 1 on the play. The clock continues to run inside of 7:40 now with 1 timeout still in the pocket of Shasta, trailing 18 to the Vikings here, 25-7.
This looks like man, Max.
Another pistol look and a 3-step drop. Throwing it out into the flats, and that's off the fingertips of Jason Abbey as Marcel Anderson came up to fill the tackle, and it'll be 3rd down and short here as the clock stops at 7:07.
That's a great hit from Marcel Anderson. He doesn't make that hit. You don't ever know. He breaks. The receiver could break free and house it.
Yeah, he definitely imposed his presence on that last play as Abbey had his fingertips on the ball, but just unable to bring it in. So it's been a scoreless half so far from both teams as the Vikings have held onto this 18-point lead from the halftime break. And Durrell trying to break that. It's a draw play this time as Abby got the ball after a sleek little handoff from Durrell. And Durrell gets it down, or pardon me, that's Abby, gets it down to the 21-yard line, picking up the first down as Cormier makes the tackle for the Vikings. First down and 10 now from the 16-yard line.
Those DBs are coming up again.
And the Vikings playing some tough defense. Avoids one tackler as there was a free rusher. And now a run down the middle of the field. Hops his way into the front of the end zone. A flag comes in at the original line of scrimmage. And so if this stands, it will be a 16-yard rushing touchdown by Levi Durrell. But I believe this one will come back on a hold.
Yeah, that one's coming back on a hold. It was Danny Batalega on that one. I don't think this one's going to stand. Nope.
You could hear the disgust from the Sierra coaches there as you just hear a loud grunt as they hate that call.
Someone's name we've just called a lot. I saw him hunch over a minute. Dylan Leo. He's in the back end right now. He hunched over for a second. He's back up. Something to keep an eye on here in the last 6 minutes.
Yeah, the last thing you want is a tired defensive back. And so after the hold, it'll be first down and 20 instead of the touchdown. And the ball will be spotted down at the 26-yard line with 6:34 counting down. Two receivers set as they motion Gibson across the formation. The Vikings will motion alongside with him. Durrell checks toward the far sideline. And he takes a 7-step drop trying to back up into a screen pass. And he does throw it eventually to, I believe that was Eli Cortines, the starting running back, trying to set up the screen and then eventually tackled down by Amari Cormier.
Yeah, Amari Cormier coming off the edge there. Great tackle.
Big number 99 coming up for the tackle there. And that's just a heads-up play. You understand how many – there's only so many different play calls that you can get in this situation. We're down second down and 25, so just a heads-up play from the defensive lineman, able to scrape down the line and get the tackle on the screen. A 3-step drop now, and a throw to the near side, and then it's picked off at the 11-yard line, running down the near-hand side, and eventually brought down at just about the 40-yard line, chopped down by the quarterback, I believe, as that was an interception by Adrian Lachey. That ball was just lofted to the near sideline, and he had a wide-open path to show off essentially his 40-yard dash as he brings it out to the 40, and the Vikings get another turnover, the second interception of the day off the arm of Levi Durrell, and the Vikings are in full control of this game with 5:46 remaining.
Just a rough day all around for the backup QB. Durrell, he's had a couple moments where he's shown just that he can be a part of this team, but that was not one of them. Great play on the other side of the ball. Let's give some credit to Adrian Miche.
So Johnson will come out after a 26-yard drive composed of 9 plays and an interception on the other side. And Sean Davis with the handoff ends up breaking one tackle. As you can see, the string of his shoulder pad flying out the backside. And he gets only a gain of 1 on the play.
It was Julius Carroll with the carry.
Julius Carroll. Pardon me. So Carroll gets the carry. As he wears the number 28, not number 38. Missed the first number on that play, but Carroll, with his shoulder pad flying out on the backhand side, still able to get 1 yard and keep the clock churning.
And that's exactly what you want if you're DVC right now. The Vikings just trying to salt this one away.
10 seconds left on the play clock here as Johnson lines up, and I believe he will use as much time as possible. So calling for the ball with 3 seconds left, and Johnson will throw. This is a short route, a dig route brought in by Brian Pierce Jr., and he stays in bounds after getting a pass out to the 46-yard line. 4:46. And, I mean, if you have some crisp routes from your wide receivers, you don't have to resort to just running the ball the whole entire time. You can still pass the ball, but you just have to make sure you get that completion no matter what to keep the clock running. Third down, 10 seconds left on the play clock. 4:30 counting down here in the fourth quarter of play as the Vikings have the 25-7 lead here. Potential pressure comes, and that is a free man rushing over the top. A great block at the end of the play as Johnson jumps over the defender who falls over after the block, and Johnson goes out of bounds, rushing, trying to get to that midfield mark, but only gets 2 on the play. So at this point, the Vikings will have to send out their punt unit once again, and I believe the quarterback will stay on the field. So tackled out of bounds. The clock will stop at 4:10, and the Vikings looking like they're going for it here.
Interesting look. Maybe, I mean, it does make sense actually now on second thought, because if you give the ball back, let's be honest, there's probably not enough time for Shasta to mount a comeback at this point.
Yeah, try to call game in the situation, be aggressive, see what you've got. Drawn up for 4th down and short. You do have a commanding lead at 18 now as it's man-to-man coverage across the board. And a timeout taken by the Vikings here. So a timeout here for the Vikings with an 18-point lead, I should say. 25-7 is the score. It's been a shutout in the second half of play on both sides. With 4 minutes and 10 seconds remaining, the Vikings looking to carry this 18-point lead into the final bell as they're looking to get their first win of the season here at their home stadium in Week 3 here on DVC Vikings Live. (25-7) here. The Vikings scored 3 touchdowns in the second quarter of play after the initial touchdown on the opening drive of the game. The only points came on the opening drive of the game for Shasta, and with their second-string quarterback, the Vikings going for it, and they swing it out to Gavin Cribb to the far side. Oh, and Cribb drops the second ball of the day. The Vikings will turn it over on downs as Cribb just has not been able to get involved in the passing game very well after doing so well in that department in the first game against Fresno City College. So the Vikings will unfortunately turn it over on downs. And now let's see what the reserve quarterback has in store here. Levi Durrell, not necessarily too much success through the air, but a lot of success running the ball.
Yeah, definitely. We could see some drawn-up read options, try and just get him comfortable with the scheme, and we'll see how it goes. At
this point, I think if it is truly a hamstring injury for Eli Wiebe, you got to realize that you got to start getting the quarterback comfortable, understand what playbook that he can run going into the next game for Shasta, and really just try to get your quarterback going. And I believe it's actually going to be another quarterback coming in.
Wiebe.
That's
I think.
That's Eli Wiebe. So the quarterback who I initially thought was injured, yes, he will hand the ball up over the left-hand side, and that's a carry by Eli Cortinez as Cortinez is dropped down after a gain of 1 on the play, and that is surprising. So initially we thought it was a hamstring injury by Eli Wiebe, and he comes into the game at the 358 mark, and wow. I mean, why not?
I'll say curious, Max. That's a curious one.
So trips out to the near-hand side for Wiebe, who comes back in the game, the starter, who had a pretty solid game despite only having 7 on the board. And Wiebe will drop back, throwing it across the middle over to Jahari Johnson, I should say. And Jahari Johnson catches the ball, runs a quarter of a gasser as he runs out of bounds after getting I believe that was a gain of 14 on the play. And with 3:23 remaining, it'll be a 1st down and 10. Shasta lines up with trips out to the far-hand side now with Eli Wiebe coming back into the game in the pistol. Lone receiver to the near-hand side is Hakeem Lowe. Low snap, thrown across the middle, and Jahari Johnson just decimated by the Vikings defender coming up and just laying down the lumber. Anthony Munoz, we've called his name so many times tonight, and he just destroys Jahari across the middle.
Well, that's how you lay the wood. That was a great hit. That was a hard hit.
And that's the last thing you need if you're Shasta. You're down 18 with 3:18 remaining in the 4th quarter. You do not need your number 1 receiver taking hits like that.
Absolutely. You don't want that this late in the game when it probably doesn't mean anything by this point.
But on the other side, hell of a highlight.
Absolutely.
3 receivers set to the far-hand side of the pistol for Wiebe. And Jason Abbey inside of the backfield alongside with him. Vikings looking like they're setting pressure, and they do. Webe throws it near hand side, one-on-one coverage, and that's intercepted! Marcel Anderson intercepts it at the goal line. He runs down the near sideline before stepping out of bounds at just inside of the 25-yard line. The third interception of the day as flags come in at the end of the play.
I think there was an illegal block in the back there from the, I guess, receiving team, not the defense.
Regardless, that might be Marcel Anderson trying to call a game.
I believe he did there, Max. They're out there dancing on the field. Look at that.
This Vikings defense has done a tremendous job so far today. About 3 or 4 turnovers on downs. You had 3 interceptions, so that's 6 turnovers right there. We talked about how opportunistic this defense can be, and man, they are making everything count.
No doubt about it, yeah. This defense, they really, after that first drive where the coverage was a little wobbly, they've really stepped it up from then. And here we are now in an 18-point lead.
And so will be an illegal block in the back that brings the ball back to the 10-yard line. The ball was originally spotted at the 24 after the interception. And now the Vikings from the 10 will get the ball, and they look to run out the rest of this game with this lead. So, Colin, let's talk about some of Jerry Johnson's play tonight. He's really turned the page. Man, Jerry's been doing a terrific job really managing the game. He took 2 sacks, so you want to see that get a little bit better. But other than that, the ball's been on the money for the majority of the night. He's found his guys when he needed to. And, man, Jerry's having a heck of a game.
Absolutely. He had that one little blip, that little pick where we were all wondering, hey, what are you doing there? But recovered well, has had a really good game. Even before that, he was having a great game. So that was just one little blip. He's good now.
Crib will motion out of the backfield into the flats, and they'll hand it off to the running back. I believe that is Davis, who gets picked up on the play after only a gain of 1. And let's see if that's 28 or 38. I can't quite see. If it is 28, that is Julius Carroll, who got the carries on the last time around. And if that is 38, that is 28, so that is Julius Carroll. Sean Davis, he might not be playing anymore tonight after getting his 5-yard rushing touchdown in the second quarter of play.
One thing I want to go back to real quick about Jerry is that his pocket presence allows him to do all this stuff and be as good of a quarterback as he is. He just has such a great knowledge of how the pocket is and how it works.
And a 2-back look once again as they motion Cribbs over into the flat. And they will throw out to Cribb this time. Cribb able to secure the catch as he runs towards the far sideline. And a little jump cut as he puts his foot into the ground as he stays in bounds, and the clock counts down. 2:10 remaining here. 35 seconds left on the play clock, and the Vikings facing a 3rd down and 8 from their own 13.
That's a veteran move to stay in bounds and realize what situation you're in. Not go out of bounds, keep that clock rolling, and get on that bus to go home.
You are home, but sending Shasta on the bus to go home.
Exactly.
I get what you mean.
Apologies.
Damani Burrell comes back into the game. He's had a few different receptions so far this evening, as well as the tight end Josh Peichel, who got the first score of the games for the Vikes with his 16-yard receiving touchdown. Same look for the Vikes and the same motion. And a timeout taken by Shasta College. So we'll take the timeout as well here on DVC Vikings Live. 25-7 is our score here with 1:34 remaining in the game as the Vikings are looking to etch a 1 in the win column so far in this early going this season here on DVC Vikings Live. The Vikings fans having fun with this one. And the later going with only 1:34 remaining here. And Johnson coming out on the 2-back set will pass the ball. Johnson's going to throw it deep. Trying to come back to trace the ball. I believe the intended receiver on the play was Deshaun Smith II. He had one catch earlier on in the game for a first down conversion. So on fourth down, the Vikings will have to send out the punt unit with 1:29 remaining here, and the Vikings just taking a deep shot. And why not in this situation? You're playing with all the house money in the world as the game has essentially been put on ice.
Yeah, why not? And I don't think that was the worst throw in the world either. Just maybe reserve in there and not the best route run.
So Michael Vaquero, the freshman out of Walnut Creek, De La Salle High School's own, will take the head-high snap. He's done a great job putting the ball, and this one's blocked away. The ball's swatted up into the air, and it's going to be brought down by a Vikings player down at the 2-yard line. So that is not what you want to close out the game. The Vikings have been executing so well, but now possibly a scoring opportunity for Shasta as they come up with a big play on special teams. Vikings have been pitching a shutout throughout the second half of play, but now it'll be a first down and goal from the 2-yard line. The running back will be Jason Abbey. Let's see who the quarterback is. Number 16, that's Eli Webe coming back into the game after throwing the interception, coming back from the injury. A heavy look here as it's a handoff to the right side. Tackled down at about the 1-yard line. Jason Abbey with the carry, and Derek Ryder tackling in the backfield.
That was a great tackle by number 52, Ryder, excuse me.
Siding off the left side with the up back as well, and another pistol look. A handoff once more. Tackle down right at the goal line once again. Jason Abbey gets in. The second effort will break the goose egg of the second half. And Shasta able to withhold or break away from a potential shutout with under 1 minute to play. 25-13 our score here with 55.6 seconds left. And that's a little bit of a notch in your belt for the sophomore quarterback out of Red Bluff, being able to come back into the game after getting hurt and then really just show your toughness as he hands it off a couple different times. So they will go for 2 here, as it is now a 12-point game. No timeouts left, 4 seconds left on the play clock as Webe might not get the ball off. 0 on the clock, so now this is an even tougher situation. You will go for 2 to try to make it a 10-point game after the play, as Eli Cortines is in the backfield, but Webe just was uncertain of the play call and just took a little too much time on the play.
That had to have been DVC to take the timeout, right?
I mean,
Shasta doesn't have any.
Yeah, I guess DVC took a timeout the last possible moment instead of the Shasta delay of game. Yeah, I'm a little confused. So Shasta has no timeouts left. So if they did take a timeout, that would be a different violation of sorts.
It doesn't look
so
like
it does look like DVC took a timeout at the last possible second.
It also didn't look like any of the DVC coaches or players were arguing it. So
DVC takes a timeout and gets Shasta out of a little tougher of a situation. So Eli Webe will come out in the shotgun look, shotgun spread from the 3-yard line. Cortines off the left hip of Webe, and he motions Randy Gibson across the formation over the right-hand side. Picks up the ball from his feet. He's pressured. He throws it late across the middle, and it's batted down once again. Pete Pennington, the intended receiver, but Malik Viewins continues to make his life a living hell this evening.
Malik Viewins has been there all evening long. He's saying no to Pete Pennington multiple times, and this is just the latest addition.
So the Vikings give up 6 inside of 1 minute after they got after Shasta gets a block punt right at the goal line. And now I believe the Vikings will get the ball back, take a couple different knees, and get the first win notched in their belt of this 2023 campaign. You can definitely see the excitement from this team as they bring Sean Davis as the lone return man. And the kickoff unit for the last time this evening, potentially going for an onside kick here.
I mean, I think, yeah, you have to if you're Shasta, right?
Got to play it out tough, right? So the Vikings bring out their hands team on the field, and the onside kick will be sent out there for Shasta College. Preciado, I believe, would be the kicker here. And no, it's actually 93, so that's the punter, Mendoza. So Mendoza will come out to try the onside kick. Kicking it from the far hash mark. You get the one bounce, and it bounces right into the hands of Austin Hertz. So Austin Hertz.
I think there was a offside penalty on the
Austin Hertz might have called the game one way or another as the flag comes in at the end of the play. And it looks like the Vikings are a couple knees away from getting this first victory of the season. So let's give you a recap of some of the action here. So the Vikings on the opening drive of the game ended up having a 10-play, 66-yard drive capped off by a 16-yard pass touchdown to Peichel to make it 6-0, as it was a botched hold from the holder there. And then after that, Shasta answered with an 11-play, 63-yard drive of themselves. It was Wee-Bay over to Jahari Johnson to make it 7-6. That was the only lead that Shasta would take today. After a Shasta turnover on downs, which they had about 4, 5, or even 6 at the end of this game, had 7 plays for 55 yards, and then they ended up scoring, or Shasta turned it over on downs, and the Vikings put together a 7-play, 55-yard drive capped off by a 5-yard rushing touchdown to Sean Davis. And the Vikings kept their foot on the pedal as they converted on a 3rd down and 10 with a 68-yard pass from Johnson to Brian Pierce Jr. And then the last score for the Vikings came with about 2 minutes remaining in the game. They perfected a 2-minute drill with 10 plays, 66 yards, and had a 5-yard passing touchdown to Johnson. And then the final score of the game was Shasta getting a block punt at the 1-yard line, and 2 handoffs later, it was a 1-yard rushing touchdown for Jason Abbey getting into the end zone, giving us the final score of 25-13. So congratulations to interim head coach Austin Corrali picking up his first win of this season as the Vikings avenge a tough loss last season to the Knights of Shasta College, and they get their first victory of the season, 25-13. The Knights fought hard, but the Vikings just showed that they had a little too much defense and really showed a pep in their step on offense, as Johnson had a terrific game this evening.
Yeah, Johnson had such a terrific game tonight, and there are 3 players on the defense I want to give shout-outs to. They were just awesome. Marcel Anderson, Nico Bowler, and Malik Vuens. Malik Vuens, we saw him all night long in the red zone. He had a couple huge PBUs, and the other 2 just everywhere. Marcel Anderson and Nico Bowler, it felt like they were everywhere at all times.
Yeah, I think if you would have to give a MVP of the game, it would have to go over to Vuens. Vuens got an interception last week, and man, he made his mark in the passing game. Every single time that Shasta College tried to go to their big-bodied tight end, Pete Pennington, he was there to say no, 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 tumbled that ball out, swatted that ball down multiple different times. And with that, it sends us to our final of 25-13. Thank you to everybody tuning in. Thank you to everybody joining our broadcast tonight. Sorry about the technical difficulties we had early on in the broadcast, but yeah, a win at the end of the day is a good night for everybody.
A win's a win.
Okay, so for our broadcast team of everybody, and yeah, man, I'm just happy we got a win tonight. So the Vikings get their first one of the season, advancing to 1-2, and they sent a loss to Shasta College, so they are officially 1-2 on the season, and the Vikings will go on the road to face Reedley College. So the Tigers and the Vikings will kick it off over at 1 p.m. I believe Reedley College does have their own broadcast, so you can tune in on their YouTube channel. And then the next week, they will be on the road once again over at College of Sequoias. So that'll be a difficult game, as that one came over to an overtime victory for the Vikings last year after they had to fight through all the adversity, and one of the best games that I've really ever seen here on Vikings Field. I've caught a lot of them. I believe we actually even still have the replay up on the YouTube page. So if you're feeding for some more Vikings football content after this, go check out that video. And the Vikings will eventually have a bye after those 2 very difficult games. and they will really show exactly what this Vikings team is made out of before the Vikings come back for their home opener against Chabot College on Friday the 13th in October, and that'll be the next time we are on air here on DVC Vikings Live. So until next time, horns up, the Vikings get the win 25-13 here in Week 3